Yes, people, welcome back to GNA TV and Chelsea Fan TV. I hope you guys are having a pleasant Monday afternoon, morning, evening, wherever it is that you may be around the world. We are here to talk about the Champions League draw, which took place at 11 o'clock today. Chelsea have been drawn Borussia Dortmund for the first time in the Champions League. I think ever, actually. I don't think we've ever played Dortmund in a major competition. We might have played them in a friendly and whatever, but we're going to talk about that. And then we're going to talk about the absolutely shocking, abysmal performance that was Chelsea 0, Arsenal 1 yesterday. I am going to open up the lines later in the show as well. It's got to be spoken about. Some serious conversations. I was at the game yesterday. I saw a couple of people there that watched this show as well. We wasn't happy. The ground wasn't happy. We got behind the players. Don't get me wrong. Everyone got behind the players, but I don't feel that we've received that in return from the performance that was put out. And we're going to talk about it. We're going to break it down, actually. We're going to talk about the players. We're going to talk about Graham Potter specifically. And just want to talk about the overall feelings in and around the football club, the fan base at the moment, more than anything. And actually just discuss what we're watching, because it wasn't good yesterday. It actually really pissed me off. And for a good couple of hours of yesterday after the game, maybe even going into the evening, it wound me up. And what wound me up was more the performance than anything. And along with it, maybe a little bit in terms of what Potter was doing as well. So we're going to talk about everything on the show today. Going to be quite heated. Some people may agree, disagree. This is what it's about as a fan base. But we're going to talk about it overall. Get stuck in. Over 70 of you guys here already. Big up to every single one of you guys that is in here right now. Make sure that you're smashing the likes though, guys. Let's ring these likes up. Let's try and get over 100 likes as quickly as possible. We're going to go through the chat before anything. And before we move forward, let's cue that intro. Yes, people, welcome back to GNA TV and Chelsea Fan TV. I hope you guys are having a pleasant Monday. Lots to get into, lots to discuss, especially after the back of that performance. I know there's a lot of people who have been waiting for this show as well. So happy to be here. Nearly over 100 of you guys in here combined already. Need you guys to make sure you're ringing up them likes. Lots to get into today. Let's go through the chat as well. Robin says that I'm happy these full plastics will leave my club soon. Hopefully we get out of the top 7 for 3 years. Yeah, he's not too happy. RD, in some weird reason, just likes calling me out on each and every show. Even when I'm saying something positive, he still says the opposite to what I say. Why are you retweeting Pies' tweet and Potter? You want him to lash out on the players in the media and lose the dressing room. Don't know what he's talking about, to be honest. A big up to you, RD. And then he goes on to talking about Pulisic being an amazing player. Big up to you, my man. I know how much you love Pulisic and what your agenda is strong there for him. But yeah, big up to you, my man. Big up to Leo as well. No, big up to you. Hold it. Yeah, I will hold it. The only thing I will say from your side is congratulations. Good win for you guys. Scrappy win. I thought Arsenal had more of control of the game. I don't think we had control from 0 to 90. Maybe partly to do with the way that we were set up in that game. I do feel that we were set up individually wrong, in my opinion. And he didn't change it, and we'll get into that a bit later. However, that was your strongest 11. And you only beat us by one scrappy goal. Yeah, you had a little couple chances here and there, but I'll be honest with you, I don't think you guys were that impressive. I don't think you guys were that great. I just think, you took your chances when it came in. And if be serious, the goal itself was a shit goal. It was a meaty goal. It was a goal that just lacked concentration. One of probably the worst goals that I have seen this season from a team, from a corner. Probably goes up there in the top 3, maybe even top 2. That's how bad that goal was. You scored a scrappy goal. You got a scrappy win. Yes, you had more control of the game. We didn't offer anything against you guys. I agree. We've done nothing when it comes to testing Ramsdale. However, at the same time, this was your best 11. And when you've got Azpilicueta pocketing Martinelli for most of the game and Jesus sort of not really in the game and Saka just falling on the floor every time he got touched, it is what it is. It is what it is. But, big up to you. Well done for what you did. You continue to be strong, top of the league. And we'll see how long it lasts for you guys, isn't it? It's a long way to go. I see already that you Arsenal fans are going on across Twitter with your London is red. London is red. Better than Chelsea, better than Tottenham. But let me tell you something now. Do not forget that a season is a marathon. it's not just about now. And what you've done now is good. You're being consistent in the short run, but it's still a long way to go, mate. 14 games, or in 13 games played. There's 38 games in the season. You still got all your Europa League games to play throughout that point as well. World Cups coming in, which, you know, you could potentially get some injuries like Chelsea did with their 5 players out, starting 11 players, might I say, as well. So we'll see, innit? We'll see. We'll see how good this Arsenal team is, because Chelsea are in the same position. Chelsea are in the same position, man. Chelsea were in the same position last year. December, they were top of the league, cut off injuries by January the 3rd after the Liverpool game when we had Man City, Liverpool back-to-back. We found ourselves 3rd. So it happens. Big up to Mitchy boy. Nice to see you. Stats yesterday have started. We're going to talk about Ruben Loftus-Cheek as well. I think the midfield was pretty sure. Big up to Lee Taylor in-house. Chelsea Database, nice to see you. Yes, we will be later in the show. Hiking with Martin, nice to see you. We'll talk, you know, we'll rip into it, but I don't want to do what I see across Twitter. You know, this performance, we can rip the players, we can moan about the performance, we can look at specifics and whatever. I get that, but it's again understanding where we're at, and it's again understanding why and how it all went wrong, not just on one player. My thing with the whole thing is when we sit here talking about one player consistently when the whole team was shit yesterday, it winds me up. Because then it just shows to me that, you know, that the agendas are strong and hard, because all you care about is the emotional attachment that you have to that one person that you like or you fucking dislike. Take that out the window. Stop talking about one player all the time and talk about the football club. Talk about where it is. Talk about the players. Talk about the players and where they're at and what we know with this crop of players. Understand your football club and where they are at the moment. And then in yourself, you'll get a better understanding of Chelsea Football Club. Once you understand that yourself, then it's cool. But if you're just going to react to every one game that we play, and yes, we can react to this game because it was shit. It's one of the shittest games I've seen us play at the Bridge. On top of that, we got soaked going down there and watching it. We should have all got our money back after watching that game. In terms of output, in terms of playing for that badge. Not that one. Yeah, that one, or that one, or that one, or that one, that one. Any of them. All the same badge, actually. Yeah, big up to you, man. Big up to Colby as well. Big up to Andreas. Nice to see you. Who else we got? Is Shaq. Nice to see you, bro. Hope you're well. I'm depressed. Mate, I was depressed all yesterday. For me, it's the overall performance again, bro. You know, we're going to get into it very shortly. I have enough of losing against Arsenal. I know it's becoming an easy ground for them, man, and we're allowing it. They're not even playing us off the park. You know, individual mistakes against this team leads to them winning games. Lack of concentration for goals leads to them winning games. You know, it's just bullshit. Absolute bullshit. Big up to Sammy in the house as well. Liam, who else we got here? Blinds, big up to you. M3, Devandro, who else we got here? Jay, nice to see you. Jesus, JP, over 150 of you here. Big up, man. Big up. Chelsea boy, nice to see you. We're going to talk about the UEFA Champions League draw now. Quickly going to jump into that. Why are Chelsea so bad? Well, we're going to talk about it. We'll talk about it. We've got a donation here from Olu. Big up to you, says LOL, hard dose of copium going on here, is what he says. Big up to you. Thank you for the donation. Who else we got here? We've got so many chats going on here. Matthew, nice to see you, bro. Thank you for the donation. I hope you're well. He says, big up, Jem. Let's hope we will turn our season around and the UCL will potentially be our achievement. Well, maybe the World Cup couldn't come sooner. Maybe this little break in between actually helps us. We know that we're missing Reece James and other players. Maybe it allows players to, you know, to restore their fitness and be available for Chelsea. You know, maybe the World Cup happening for Chelsea and not having a December of games, especially with these with the crop of players we have and the injuries that we have, still is a good thing. Still, performance is not good enough. You know, even with a full fit team, and this is the problem. It's the inconsistency of the players that is a real issue at this football club at the moment. Big up to Jacob. Thank you for the donation, though, Matthew. Thank you, bro. Steve is in the chat. I just joined thoughts on UCL draw. We're going to get into that now. I hope you're well. They didn't, but that's worrying, Steve, isn't it? You know, we're playing against Arsenal at home, a derby, and we didn't turn up. We didn't turn up. You know, that's embarrassing. There's nothing more to say than other than that. But please like the videos, guys. I know we haven't got enough likes. There's nearly 200 of you guys here as well. So please make sure that we are getting them likes up. We've got over 80 people on GNA TV. Only 25 likes, guys. Come on, let's get this over 50 likes on Chelsea Fan TV. We just reached over 110 people on here. Only 28 likes though, guys. Again, just get them likes up as quickly as possible, please. Cuzzy, nice to see you. He's saying sack the coach and save our season already. I think that's a bit reactionary in my opinion. The boys gave it their all. I was watching the same game. I disagree with Potter. I think, I'll be honest with you, I saw some of the conversations after the game, and some of the things he said I wasn't very impressed with, especially that conversation, that sentence specifically, when he says that they gave it their all. I don't think they gave it their all, if in my honest opinion. And we're going to talk about that. Chris George, big up to you, mate. Big up to you. Jem, who do you want to see come into your club in January? Well, I think we need, I keep saying it. I've been saying it in the summer window when you guys have been watching the transfer window as well. The players that we bought were just not enough for this squad. And I keep saying that there's areas, specific areas that we need to improve on for this football club to be more consistent, for us to be more stable. And maybe we will get to see Potter's ideas more at that point as well. But when you sack a manager mid-season and you throw in a new manager and you give him players that were partly Tuchel players, some of the ones that have just come in, and then on the back of that, players going back to Sarri, and you ask him to try and make something happen, especially a manager with lack of experience, and he does have a lack of experience. There's no understanding behind Potter or understanding what he can bring for Chelsea. It's too early to judge. For people that are calling him out is the wrong thing to do at the moment, and we're going to talk about that in a second. But at the same time, you can ask questions in terms of certain decisions made in games, and he again was very slow in making decisions to switch the game, and he didn't switch one important thing for me yesterday. We're going to talk about that. But yeah, you know, wing backs. We need right wing backs. We need strength in midfield. We need creators in the forward line. We need probably more depth in the back line. But mainly the midfield, right wing back, and in the forward line for me. And I'm talking about creators, someone that can actually create for me, Chris. Big up to Josh in the house, man. Nice to see you. Nice to see you, my man. I hope you're well. Over 250 of you here as well combined. I can't keep going through everyone's chats a moment. I need to kind of get on with the show as well, 12 minutes in. But I will be highlighting some of them coming in. But let's talk about the Champions League draw, guys, before we get into the Chelsea Arsenal reaction show. There it is. Let's go through them real quickly. Leipzig versus Man City. Go on in the chat. Everyone in the chat, give us your votes on who you think will win on these games out of the round 16. So with Man City versus Leipzig, I am going to go with obviously a Man City win. I'm interested to see Nkunku up against City. He's on fire at the moment, scoring in each and every game that he's playing. So Nkunku against Man City will be a good idea to see. Obviously, if Chelsea are going to get him, and it looks like we're close to having a close agreement with the guy as well. But, you know, there's going to be some certain things that Chelsea need to do maybe to get him to come, because Champions League is one of the things we're going to need. Maybe he waits for the late stage. Maybe he signs in January. However, big game to watch there. I still think Man City win it. Club Brugge play Benfica. I think that's up in the air. However, I think Benfica are playing quite well. Club Brugge top their league, top their group as well, in good form. Probably a flick of a coin for me on this one. I'm going to say Benfica to win the game against Club Brugge on that one. And then we move on to the Liverpool versus Real Madrid game. That game again. And obviously we saw what they did to them last season as well. This is going to be a good one because Liverpool ain't in the greatest of form. However, they're starting to slowly win games again. Real Madrid on the other side again are the Titans, the Lions, the Kings of Champions League football. Can never underestimate them. I think this is going to be a hard one for Liverpool. And I think it's going to fall down to whether they can take a lead in the first game. Because they're at home, they will need to get a 1 or 2-0 up against Real Madrid. If they don't, and it's a draw or it's a 1-0 Real Madrid, I think Real Madrid could win this. So it is up in the air. However, I'm going to go and say Real Madrid. I'm going to say Real Madrid beat Liverpool in that Champions League game there as well. Is our bogey team. Yeah, 100. Vinicius Jr. up against Trent. Yeah, again. And we've seen how that plays out, right? Absolute shocker. One second. Someone just tagged me in something that I was just reading that took me off guard, actually, because he tagged me in it. He wrote a comment and tagged me in. Big up to True Blue as well. True Chelsea on that one. Big up, bro. And then we've got AC Milan versus Tottenham Hotspur. Now, come on. I was talking to some people in the chat just now. Let me know in the chat, guys. AC Milan or Tottenham Hotspur to go through on the round of 16. They feel that the Spurs fans feel that this is an easy game for them. They think that they can walk AC Milan. And the reason they feel they can walk AC Milan is because they've watched the Chelsea game. They've watched the Chelsea game against AC Milan. And because they think Chelsea aren't that good, they think that they can do the exact same thing as what Chelsea did to Milan, to what Spurs can do. I disagree. And Milan obviously had injuries at the time. And obviously them injuries, that they may have returned. They might be a stronger team. I'm not too sure Tottenham do what Chelsea do. Number one, they're not Chelsea. I don't care what you say. We might be bad at the moment, yeah, and that might be partly down to inconsistency and injuries and whatever. But we ain't Spurs. Let's just get that right, number one. Spurs play completely different football to Chelsea. They play counter football. They sit back and they invite pressure. We ain't that. We ain't that. So for me, it's a straight up, I'm going to be honest with you. AC Milan go 2-0 up in this game. I think they win. I think they beat Spurs. And I'm just putting it out there. And I think Giroud up against, and Leao up against Eric Dyer, the fraud. The guy that's nicking a living as a footballer. And I'll be honest with you, I don't even know how that guy is a footballer. I think he's going to be peak for Spurs. I'll be honest with you. Big up to Kinsley. Nice to see you. Says SSG are selling Liverpool per David Ormstein. Interesting news. If they are, who are they going to sell it to? Another American owner? We have to see what happens, bro. I'll keep an eye out on that one. Big up to you. Thank you for the donation. Joe Walsh says Leao versus Emerson Royale is what you got there. Yeah, can you imagine? Joe, I didn't even think of that as well. Leao versus Emerson Royale. Eric Dyer versus Giroud. Oh, my goodness. That is peak. That is peak. Let's move on from that. Frankfurt versus Napoli. I'm going straight up on this one. Napoli. Top of their league, doing their thing, looking good. Napoli, straight up on that one. And then Borussia Dortmund versus Chelsea. Like I said, I don't think we've ever played each other in a major competition. We might have played in the pre-seasons, I can't remember, but this is the first time Chelsea faced Borussia Dortmund ever. I want to go. I'm going to try and get a ticket. I want to get myself out there, hoping that it's the week of the 14th and the 15th of Feb, because I'm away the week after, so we'll have to see that later on today. But yeah, big game. Borussia Dortmund, a good team. They've got good players. They play good football. They can give us problems. Again, it's going to fall down to Borussia Dortmund beating us in the first leg. However, in away games, I feel that we're better set up to beat teams than we are at home at the moment. At home, I just feel... Well, no, but saying that, we lost to Brighton. So what am I talking about? I can't even use that excuse. I just think away in the Champions League, we're probably better. It's completely different to the Premier League. And I feel that these players that we do have are more suited to these kind of competitions at the moment. We've seen it in the past. You know, it's a completely different type of way of playing. However, I think Dortmund will play of high intensity and make the job hard for us. We will be doing a match preview for that next year when it comes closer. But I'm always going to back the Chelsea. Doesn't matter who we play or what form we're in. I'm always going to stick up for my football club. So I'm going to go over straight up Chelsea on that one as well. And then we've got Inter Milan versus FC Porto. Interesting one because Porto are in good form. Inter Milan are a decent team. Had a hard groupish, I guess. So that could be up in the air. Again, I think if Inter Milan win the first leg, I think they beat Porto in the second. I'm going to stick with an Inter Milan win against Porto. And then we've got the big one. Big one. PSG versus Bayern Munich. Now, guys in the chat, let me know who you think will win that one. PSG or Bayern Munich? Who are we going with for the result on that one? I want to know. I'm going to go with a Bayern Munich win. And again, it could fall on the first game. But I just think Bayern Munich are set up perfectly. However, I think PSG will still score goals. They've got Mbappe, Neymar, Messi, great form. I just still look at that PSG team and I look at it and I go, they're not a team. They're still not a team. They don't play as a team. Even when I watch them, it's just about individual good players that can just create and do things for each other. And when I look at the Bayern team, I look at it and I go, more balanced, more understanding of their roles, work for each other, have good players, top quality players, a system with world-class players in Goretzka, Kimmich, Leroy Sané, Mane, you know, numbers of players that are good enough. So I'm going to go Bayern Munich on that one. And like Shaq said here, I think their defense is poor, even with Ramos and Marquinhos. And I rate Marquinhos and Ramos, but I'm not too sure, not too 100% sold on it. Got the second leg at home, so 120 minutes to win if the first leg is a draw. True, Steve. Gem PSG haven't lost their game this season, bro. Come on. Yeah, but they play in the blimmin'... Number one, they had one of the easiest groups in the Champions League. Number two, they play in the French League. I'm not even going down that route. Bayern is what I'm going for here. So, yeah, there we go. And obviously, just to reiterate on our team specifically, Chelsea will be playing away to Dortmund first and home at the Bridge. Away to Dortmund and at home at the Bridge. So, yeah, big game. Big game. Oh. Sorry, I think Alex might be coming in. We know everyone that knows Alex on Chelsea Fan TV, he'll be coming through at some point, I think, today as well to talk about this. But yeah, away first, home. Does it work for Chelsea? I usually tend to prefer home first and away, but then I guess if you win away, you come to home with a lead. It's probably better set up for us currently at the moment. So yeah, big game, interesting game. We'll see what teams are in form and what players are back and what players are injured in February. February will be interesting to see. Interesting to see where we're at with things as well. So, guys, 20 minutes in. Make sure you're smashing the likes as always. Subscribing to the channel as well. Big up to CFC Chelsea OG in the house. If you can, please. Big up to you, man. Yeah, please smash the likes, guys. Please, can we get this over 100 on both? Yeah, there we go. Not much more to say on that. We look forward to that game as well. But now I want to talk about yesterday's game. And this is the one that everyone obviously wants to talk about. And we will open the lines up very shortly as well. Quick sort of update on the game. And then we'll do a quick rating. And then we'll open the lines as well and get people involved. But I want to start and break it up into categories. And I want to start talking about the comments on Graham Potter, right? And then we'll talk about the players after. So let's just stick on the Potter topic at the moment because he's getting a lot of heat, a lot of stick, a lot of questions against him. Some people are Potter out. Some people are saying give him time. Some people are questioning for what they're seeing, not sure if he's the right manager for the long run. Let's just get into it. Let's talk about it. Obviously, there's a comment here that says we're not in and this is from Potter himself. We're not in a fantastic moment as we speak. And in the end, I think Arsenal deserve to win. What does he mean by that? We're not in a fantastic moment specifically. I'm assuming he's reverting to form. But I kind of get the same rift and feeling as what Thomas Tuchel had when he was at Chelsea, and these specific moments. And I told you guys, and I keep telling you guys, that this is going to happen. This Potter ball that you think that you're going to see straight away is not going to happen. And when we actually understand that and get to understand that a lot sooner, the better you understand where your football club is at this point. And we're going to talk about the players in a bit. However, we can't be playing like we did yesterday. I can't accept that throughout the season. I just can't. If we play well, but we lose games and we're not finishing and we're creating and we're just not, just not happening for whatever reasons. Yeah, we will moan about not taking our chances or whatever. But at least you can kind of take it in and see that they're trying to understand what he wants to do or are willing to try and do. But when you're playing the way that they did yesterday, and we're going to talk about the players later on, there's no excuses for effort. There's no excuses for not playing for that badge up there. There's just no excuses. You get paid enough money to just do some of the basics in football. Yesterday, we couldn't even do the basics yesterday. Why he says we're not in a fantastic moment at the moment, whether it's, again, the same issue we have with individual players. Let's just quickly, before I carry on, bring Alex in. Big up to Alex. Nice to see him here as well. Why he said this and feels this at the moment, mate, and I said it before, is that I feel that it's the same thing under Thomas Tuchel. The same scenario, the same issues, the same thing. And this is why I say look at the crop of players. But before looking at the crop of players, I want to stick to the Potter thing because he has picked up a lot of heat since this last game round, and people saying Potter out and whatever. But it is important that we understand where we're at with things. And obviously, he knows that we're not in great form. We are missing key players in certain positions as well. And you can see the team is struggling with it. However, what I don't like and what I don't want to see from this football club is we can lose games, but not lose it in the way that we did specifically. And we've got a comment here from Piers as well that goes on to say that in defence of Potter, the appointment time was ludicrous. Hiring a project manager who needs time to implement his style of play with no pre-season and a transfer window, then shoving him into a crazy schedule that does not sit well with me. Well, that then goes on to the board. That then you have to ask question marks as to did the board get it right? Now, at the end of the day, the board have kind of dug their own hole in this situation by getting rid of Thomas Tuchel so early and putting Potter in. But ultimately, I still knew that these teething problems were going to happen. These issues that we have were going to be an issue with Potter coming in. Because number one, you want him, he'll want to play his systems and do what he wants to do specifically, but may feel he can't do that with specific players that he has in the team, which again falls down to longevity. And maybe the board's looked at that and gone, look, we know that you may struggle to do what you want to do in this season, hence why there's no pressure on you now. However, we are still expected to get Champions League if we're going to attract the likes of Leao. We are, the Nkunkus, maybe the Declan Rices, whoever. So at the same time, it's a balance act, a bit like what Thomas Tuchel did when he was at Chelsea and he had, in his first season, and he had the crop of players and he was just trying to get them to play in a certain way where it just benefited them and we were winning and we weren't conceding goals. Eventually, he got backed. He got given the players he wanted, but then he went out the door. And one of the things that I do not like at the moment, Alex, and I don't know if you agree with me at the moment, is it seems that we always revert that when something goes wrong with a manager, we always look at the previous manager. And I know we sacked him very early, and I get people would want to always hold on to Tuchel. I get that. But it's just not fair to compare them both in the position that Potter's in currently now. We were talking about a manager that didn't lose a game prior to Arsenal, prior to Brighton. Was winning. Right, we weren't playing convincing football, but we were just doing the job a little bit like what Tuchel was doing when he was coming in. But these losses were always coming, and our fan base is too reactionary when it comes to it, And I mean, like, what's your thoughts on this whole feeling towards Potter? We lose a game, get him out, or whatever else. Like, what's your thoughts?
Well, I mean, when I was doing the fan cams, usually I like to debate with people. I like to question people. Why do you feel this way? If something's like this, what about this? But I couldn't argue. I just had to sit there and listen, and it was painful. It was almost therapeutic in a way because I completely agree with what most of the people were saying. But nobody was saying Potter out. I do want to clarify that no one said that. It's all
social media.
people type. They won't say it on camera. And you can't take that seriously, in my opinion, because if people aren't going to put their face out and really back it, then who are you supposed to believe? Anyone can do it. You said it yourself. I mean, we compare previous managers. I think Tuchel's a bit different because he actually did a great job, and he was doing a great job. Let's not take into consideration we only had a few bad results, right? He was doing a fantastic job. He unified the fan base, one of the hardest things to do. He brought trophies in consistently, and we were building a project. I mean, when was the last time we could honestly, genuinely say we were building a project with a manager we absolutely believed could go for 5-10 years? I can't remember one. I can't.
Do you not feel that's what they're going to try and do with Potter now? The problem with the project tag is that, and this is not our fault, because I feel with Chelsea fans, I feel that we're built in a certain way due to pre-Roman era, that when things don't work, we change it, we win. It's just win. And it's the short-term win, success of winning, which is what's in our minds at the moment. But when we talk about projects, it's the complete opposite to what Roman built at Chelsea, because it then means that you're bringing in managers and a board who are still putting the pieces of the puzzles in, as we know at the moment. So, is it not a point of that when we say project, that we have to kind of move this mindset from what we were before to maybe giving the chance to transition, which I feel we are in now, to this board, to the manager, and at least try and let them show us if they're, what they're trying to do. Do you know what I mean?
I just think the way Roman dominated when he first came in, you can't do that anymore. Even if you have Man City money, you can't do it. Maybe they're an exception, but you can go out and spend X amount, 300 million in a market, But if those players don't perform, you can't keep doing that. And obviously, Bowley's gone out. He spent a lot of money. Whether those players were built for Tuchel or Potter behind the scenes, we'll never know. We'll never know. But he's decided to go with Potter just for the fact that he wants a manager who's going to be more open. And I think in the grand scheme of things, it does make sense, right? You're going to work with this guy for a long time. You want to get to know the football club. It always helps to have someone that's open to communicate. But
yeah,
you're coming into a completely new industry. I mean, this isn't baseball. This isn't basketball. It's not a franchise the same way that it is out there. It is a way of life for everyone that really gets involved. We've got people around the world waking up at 2 a.m. to watch our matches. You cannot compare this to that. You just can't.
yeah.
I've actually forgotten my point, to be fair. But what I was trying to say is, I just feel like he did it very quickly. You know, he's come in. There was a slight clash of heads, and straight away you're out the door. Why don't you trust Tuchel? Why don't you let Tuchel take you through? And if you don't like it, if it doesn't work, fair play. At least we tried. But straight away, we've taken away the manager that won the Champions League.
That's fine. It's not fine, but that's the decision that the board made, right? That's that they wanted to go in early because maybe in their heads they want to start the project now, and maybe they looked at Thomas Tuchel and thought, from what we know, what I know from it, maybe they just thought that he weren't the man to do this with moving forward. I do feel maybe that it was more down to communication, and I don't really think it was specifically to do with player power, which some people were using. I think this is more to do with a lack of communication in the summer between Tuchel and obviously the board. And obviously there was talk about him having arguments with Egbali in America over pre-season because Egbali wanted him to report on every team after every time they were training, he wanted them to report back to like, how's the feeling, this, that, and the other. And so obviously I don't think Tuchel was used to that kind of thing. You know, it was like he's always having to report. So from what I understand, there was just a lack of communication and whatever. Now I want to look past Tuchel because how many times do we talk about Tuchel and revert to it? He's gone now, unfortunately. And what he did at Chelsea, he's still great in winning the Champions League. And I want to sort of stick on the Potter thing as well, because obviously Johan come out here saying Potter out shouts are crazy. If you trust him, cool. If you don't trust him, cool. But he's been here 2 months. You don't sack a manager after that time unless something has drastically gone wrong. And he's massively right with that. The issue again is, and I always say this, we do have a reactionary fan base. However, criticism is still applicable to certain moments. And when we talk about moments, we look at yesterday's game, the lineup, and how specifically Potter set us up. I thought it was a gamble playing the 4 at the back against Arsenal. What was your thoughts on that?
I mean, any side would have been a gamble. I mean, Arsenal are just better than us. Do you know what I mean? They're just better than us. We were never going to outplay them. I said it on the podcast. We did a live podcast a couple of days ago. The best way to approach that game, in my opinion, Potter actually didn't do too badly in terms of the. It didn't come off, but the way he tried to approach it, I agreed with that. You know, not pressing too much, allowing Arsenal to dominate possession, and then it was just a case of taking your chances. But Havertz isn't a counter-attacking player. Mount lost the ball countless times. Jorginho, actually, in my opinion, didn't look too bad, but he was the best of a bad bunch. And I think when Azpilicueta comes out getting a lot more praise than most, that's when you know the team's not firing. But if we hadn't have conceded that silly goal, we would have looked at it and said, you know what, that's a point. And then Potter wouldn't, there'd be a little bit less pressure on him. But at the end of the day, there are players like Cucurella need to settle in, same as the manager. I just believe I had this conversation with Lewis actually, funny enough. And why don't managers get the same patience that players get? You know, that first year to allow them to bed in. I mean, when Antonio Conte first went to Tottenham, it was a shambles, right? They had a rough patch. Different situation, I know, but he's improved. And he's asking for more patience after a year. We haven't even given him 2 months. And people are saying Potter out. 2 months.
1 game. Or 2 games, do we say? Not even that. What annoys me about the fan base is the reaction we have to 1 or 2 games. I know we're not playing well at the moment, but we weren't losing games. You know what I mean? So it was like a thing of like, come on, guys. for me, I'll be honest, Alex. Like, I understand where Chelsea are at the moment. Yeah, I do get annoyed at the end of games when we don't win still, or I moan about the way we're set up or the players and whatever. But in my back of my mind, I still know that we're nowhere near where we need to be. And I've always said that we're going to win games, we're going to draw games, we're going to lose games. We just are, and we're going to win. We're going to win ugly. We're going to lose ugly, and we're going to draw ugly. It's going to continue to happen. And I just don't trust. And I've been saying it for so long. I don't trust these crop of players. I've gone past what Lewis does. Because what Lewis does is talks about one individual all the time. And he talks about Kai Havertz. And yeah, that's his agenda. You don't like him. That's cool. I get that. Yeah. But I've gone past that because the whole team didn't. And I'm talking about the whole forward line didn't even tick yesterday. Kai Havertz was on for 60 minutes, right? He came off after 60 minutes. What happened after that 60 minutes? What was the improvement? There wasn't any.
No really.
And why would there not? If the forward line ain't ticking, the chemistry's not there, we can't even take a shot against Ramsdale, which we didn't. It was shocking. I was so fumed by the lack of the lack of like trying to do something from the team. It was like they couldn't even get up the pitch, especially in people like Sterling, who had an absolute stinker yesterday, who we're going to talk about in a bit, you know. But it goes to then looking at how Potter set us up. He stuck with the back four the whole 90 minutes. We had no control of the game. Maybe that was part of the plan, like you said, because he wanted to maybe catch him on a counter with our forward line. But the forward line weren't ticking. We didn't have the chemistry. So if that's not working and the system in itself is not working, what do? Switch it to a back foot. Give us a bit more control. It's what I would have done, but he didn't.
I absolutely love what you've just said. Why are you not changing things? In that match, why are we not changing things? And there is one manager that we can compare to, who got so much criticism, so much hate, undeservedly so, in my opinion. And I believe if he was still the manager, he would have done really, really good things for the guy. I think we'd be challenging up there with Arsenal, up there with City, and that's Maurizio Sarri. Now, this man was an extreme. I mean, I don't remember one long goal kick in Stamford Bridge when Sarri was the manager, but that was what he wanted to implement, right? And no matter how bad we were, that was what he wanted to do. Okay, the reality is he came into a squad. Antonio Conte had managed, Mourinho had managed. Those managers aren't aggressive. They hoof the ball up a lot, and they'll give up possession. So it's a polar opposite style of play. Now, it is a bit different coming from Tuchel, because Tuchel actually likes to play as well. But Potter's a very unique manager, and he likes to play a unique style of football. Why would we want to take away that genius? If it's a case of becoming a punching bag for a season and just rolling with it, so be it. So be it. Because we've seen the football Brighton played when they absolutely smashed Man United. We've seen some of the results they've pulled with players that in reality aren't good enough. I mean, I heard Brighton's manager saying Danny Welbeck should be called up for England. That's Potter. Potter is bringing that out. Potter brought that out of under par players. And why can't he do it with us? Why can't he? Absolutely, he can. People think that just because we're a bigger club and we have more expensive players, they're going to be better quicker. It's the same process, just in a different way. The only difference is there's more eyes on us. And because of that, there's a lack of patience.
I think there's an unknown with Potter. And I think because of the unknown, a bit like our board, I feel there's an unknown across Chelsea because we don't know what to expect and we don't know what philosophy the board want to go or try to do with this football club yet, because they're still trying to put the pieces of the puzzle in the background. And that's cool. And that's going to take time. And I'm down with that. I'm sure most Chelsea fans understand that. Yeah. We want to see the philosophy. We want to see what they want to do, but we know that it's not happening anytime soon yet, even though I feel like they are trying to speed things up. And then you go on to Potter and you look at the appointment and, the crop of players that he has. I agree that he wants to maybe play the way he wants to play and do certain things. But then I feel it just goes back to the whole situation. And I don't want to keep going back to Tuchel, but when you look at the squad he had and what he tried to do with the team, I do feel that we try and accommodate players to play in certain positions. And some of these players that play in our team are not, I don't think are versatile enough to adapt. I think they're very limited in how they play. So it's about trying to bring the best out of what you have, right? Until you get yourself to a window and whatever else. I think Potter is trying to get him to play how he wants to do things. I
Of
just
course.
think I do think that we lack a couple of major things in the team. You look at this comment here from Piers about the lack of touches Aubameyang had, the lack of touches Mount had, Sterling's completely dribbles and whatever. Now, what annoyed me about the players yesterday is the basics in football. Because when you're on that pitch, I expect you to run your heart off. I expect you to play for that badge, even when things ain't working. I expect you to do basics like take players on when you have the ball, especially if you're a dribbler like Raheem Sterling is. I expect players to try and just, get stuck in, do things. And yesterday, I don't feel that we got that from them. And when they do that, and then we lose like we did yesterday, where we didn't have any chances, we lost control of the game. It didn't feel like we really, tried to do much. Even at half time, I thought they might come out a bit different and try and get when that happens, I can't accept that. And I don't think as a manager of Potter, he will last long if we play like that week in, week out. I think you can agree on that. We can't play like that every week. It's just not going to happen. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the problem with Potter is it's the unexpected. No one has an expectation. It's a bit like the ball. We don't know what we're going to get from him. Is it going to be a Fergie-esque thing in terms of do Chelsea back him 3-4 years down the line? He then brings longevity to this club. He builds his system, structure, and whatever. You can look at Arteta. You can look at Klopp. These managers were given 4 or 5 years, 6 years plus in terms of Klopp to do what they needed to do. Is that the route that we're going to try and go with Potter? I just don't think that this fan base is ready to, not all of them, because some do understand and most do understand, but there is some that just can't grasp the idea of just not winning. And I think we can agree. We both think we need top 4. We do need top 4. We should be.
We're not going to
top 4.
finish in the top 4. No,
but we
no,
need
we're not
it.
going
We do need it. No, to attract
don't need
players
it.
like Leao and Nkunku, we do need to finish in the top 4. I feel. I think it's something you need.
You think Tottenham are more attractive?
No, I don't specifically. No, but they don't sign great players really. To me, they always sign bar average players anyway. That's my problem. I want to sign top players.
If it's all about top 4, then I understand. I understand where you're coming from, but I actually think it would be hugely beneficial for us to not finish in the top 4, whether that's Europa or Conference. So be it. And that's not me saying I want us to finish there. I just think that you need to take a few steps backwards to go further forwards.
That's fair enough.
The reality is when you look at the squad depth we have compared to last season, it is a travesty. When you look at the signings we've brought in, they weren't properly thought about. Whether that's due to the managers, again, I don't know. We're trying to accommodate players like Sterling, who, in my opinion, he needs to play a certain way, and we're not going to play that way. It's like Lukaku. We're not going to play a way that Sterling benefits from. Why did Lukaku not perform? Because we don't. Chelsea have always tried to play as a collective, but the striker has always had to do things the hard way. Every good striker we had made things happen. We never had an Aubameyang. We had a Drogba or a Costa, a Hasselbank, a Good Johnson. Those are big players. They didn't mess about. And it's the same now. I think Gabriel Jesus would have been a nice player for us if we could have signed him.
They had their strongest team out yesterday, and
fair play.
They beat us 1-0 from a shit goal from a corner. Let's be serious. It wasn't like an amazing, it's a smash and grab in my opinion. I know they controlled the game in most, but I thought Aspilicueta, who I worried about, actually done okay against Martinelli in most of the game. To be fair.
Because we sat deep. We sat a little bit deeper, and that was exactly what we should have done. And so people saying it was terrible. I know, Jem, it was rubbish. It was pathetic. But to say that it's Potter's fault that Cucurella was hugging Xhaka, you think Potter can coach? You think Potter coaches that? Do you honestly think that is Potter's influence? It's not. He can only work with what he's got.
And that's the thing, and it goes back to the crop of players. And we're going to do a quick player rating now, anyway, and just give a quick rating on them as well. But in terms of stats, guys, we had 44% to their 56. We got dominated. We had 5 shots to their 14, with only 1 on target the whole game, which is just not good enough. They only had 2 on target out of 14. So you look at it like that, they weren't firing on all cylinders themselves in front of goal. 6 corners to their 4. And we created, I think we made 19 fouls to their 13 as well, which is not great. Guys, there is over 420 of you here right now. So big up to every single one of you guys that are currently tuned in. Make sure you're smashing the likes as always for Chelsea Fan TV and GNA TV. Subscribe to both as well. And please share on your socials as well. Please share it across your socials. We're trying to grow both channels as much as we possibly can as well. I can see that the chat's going off. Everyone's sort of mixed in between. And you got some people saying he's not good enough in terms of Potter, others saying give him time. Some people disagreeing with what I say, some people agree with what I say. It's just, I love this. This is what I love, and an overall debate, Alex, a live debate. Can't go wrong with that as well. Let's do a quick player rating because we did say we'll get into one. Obviously, Kepa's been injured and Mendy has been in. What was your thoughts on Mendy's performance? I mean, again, he didn't have much to do with only 2 shots on target. One of them obviously went in the goal. Did you blame him for the goal?
Well, I mean, he distributed. No, I'm not going to blame him for the goal. No. I mean, it's not even Silva's fault really because he had no options when he gave the ball away. And Mendy actually made a save. So you could say in a lot of ways Mendy did what he needed to do. But for me, it was the distribution. It was with his feet. I kid you not, Jem. Were you in Matthew Harding last night?
I was Matthew Harding lower, yeah.
Yeah, Matthew Harding. So you saw exactly what I saw. We were shitting ourselves. I kid you not. Every time Mendy got the ball, it was like, get rid of it, get rid of it. He even had a little conversation with Thiago Silva. He was saying, what are you doing? Get rid of it.
Yeah.
So for me, Mendy was fine. He was fine, but I would have rather had Kepa. So it's like a 4 or 5 out of 10. Not great, nothing special. But one of those.
I think it's, again, I'm not going to look at Mendy too much in this game. He's one of the last players I'm going to look at. I think, could he have done better with a goal? I don't know. I mean, it sort of just went through for me, it should never have got, that ball should never have got where it did so easily for it to have even gone into that position, to be honest. I'll probably give him a 5.5 out of 10. There's not much more to say. Cucurella, I'll be honest with you, I'll give you a quick rating. I thought he was poor yesterday. I thought he struggled. He kept giving silly free kicks away. Even his passing, which he's usually good at, moving the ball forward quickly, he didn't look comfortable in doing. Gave, for the goal, I don't know what he was doing. Why was he just hugging the guy and just standing there static? I don't know what he was doing. I would be honest with you, I think it's a solid 1.
I mean, just in his defence, I will say the fact that he's been moved around in a lot of different positions, centre back, wing back, maybe he just needs a bit of rhythm, but that's still not an excuse. It was poor.
100%. Some people are saying -2. Jimmy looks lost. He did look lost. He done a really weird header to Thiago Silva, which nearly allowed Jesus to get in behind in the second half. It was just he just didn't look comfortable, and I don't get it because he's at natural position is obviously of a left back, so he should be more comfortable in that. But just the whole team didn't look right yesterday. Goyam's put in a super chat. He says Graham Pouliot has us playing beans on toast Burnley ball at home against Arsenal. # trust the process. Big up to Goyam in the chat as always with his crazy comments and that. Big up to you, man. Big up. We move on from that. Thiago Silva. What was your thought?
I mean, I had no issue with Thiago Silva. If anything, he stopped Arsenal from scoring more. I remember when Jesus had a great chance, even in a fantastic block. But he was lacked. He didn't have options in front of him. That was one of the reasons we conceded the goal. It's just a case of him not having players around him that knew what their job was and knew how to do it. So because of that, he may have looked worse, but I think he was fine. 6 out of 10.
Yeah, I'll go over 6.5, even a 7, maybe even a 7.5. 7. Because between him and the next person that we're going into, I thought they were probably our best players, along with Aspie, actually. In terms of that. I know we weren't great yesterday, but I don't think they had a bad game. And when you look at people go, well, Silva can't play back four, I think he was fine. I didn't see any issues with that. And especially next to a Chalobah who has pace anyway. That kind of helps in many ways for him as well.
Absolutely.
He uses this, as he does in most games, to put himself in the right positions, which is important. But yeah, big up to Thiago Silva. I'd probably give him a 7. Trevor Chalobah, I'll be honest, I would be short and quick with it. Other than the Brighton game, which I thought everyone was bad, I thought today he was pretty pretty decent. I thought he'd done all right again. I'd give him a 6.57. Didn't do anything wrong. I like Chalobah. I'm glad he never left in the summer when when we were talking about letting him go. Look, he's been important and he's shown it since Fofana's been injured. What are you saying, Alex?
Yeah, it was a pretty standard performance. And when you don't have to speak too much about players, it usually means they're not doing too much wrong, and he flies under the radar. But no complaints, no complaints.
Forward, I did send you the link, mate. If you did want to come in, it's with you now, mate. I know he likes coming in and joining us for the ratings. So yeah, you have got the link. We'll move on to Azpilicueta. Surprisingly, I was worried about him against Martinelli, but again, I thought he actually done quite well for a declining Azpilicueta, as we all keep saying. Give him a 7. It might be. I think he still waits for the ball a bit. He doesn't help in that instance, but in terms of defending and doing the role,
he's just not got the quality. I don't even think it's wasteful. I think he's trying to do the right things. I think he is doing the right things. He's just not as good. That's the reality. So you can't criticize someone when you know they don't have the ability. But yeah, fair play to him. 7 out of 10 is absolutely fair.
Forward, welcome to the show, mate. I hope you're good. I will get your thoughts on the overall game in a bit. I just want to fly through the player ratings because these do drag out otherwise. So let's just quickly, because I know there's a lot to talk on the players now. But Azpilicueta, what was your thoughts on his performance?
Yeah, obviously happy to be on. And yeah, I'll keep it short and sweet with Aspi. Listen, I'll probably just give him a 6. Again, not as bad as I thought it would be going into the game. Defensively did okay at times against Martinelli, although on a couple of occasions, of course, let him come in a bit too easily on his right foot, putting crosses, get some shots off as well, which didn't help. And obviously going forward, as usual, we it's night and day the difference we get from him and Reece James. So I'd just give him a 6, pretty much that.
Fair enough. Now let's move into the midfield, shall we? Because I want to talk about Ruben Loftus-Cheek, and I'm going to be honest with you guys. He should have come off for me. He was struggling, especially in the first half. He wasn't helping Jorginho in any shape or form. He just wasn't. He was wasteful with the ball. We got caught in possession a couple of times. He was non-existent in the battle of the midfield, I felt, and I was crying. Like, Kovacic is sitting there. I don't know how fit he was, but even Zakaria was on the bench. He should have changed it, Potter. That's one of the things he should have done. And Ruben Loftus-Cheek, he just struggled for me. He must have been a 2. Not even that for me. I actually thought he was bad. I really thought part of the reason why we struggled to transition out and actually try and win the midfield and move the ball forward quicker for the crap forwards that we saw was partly because the midfield was struggling in itself and it wasn't controlling the game and making mistakes in itself. So yeah, what would you say, Alex, on Ruben?
Yeah, I mean, it's the same sort of thing as Dave. Obviously, Dave played much better, but I don't expect Loftus-Cheek to be lighting it up. I don't expect it because he's not. He's always proven when given real stints of playing time, he can't be consistent. So I just think that's something for Potter to learn. Maybe he doesn't know too much about Loftus-Cheek in that sense, but he's certainly getting to know him. And yeah, I feel bad for the guy. I feel bad for him.
What are you saying, Ford?
Yeah, obviously, I feel like I'm one of very few fans in the fan base that actually rate Ruben and like him as a player, as a person. Obviously, yesterday again was undoubtedly a poor performance, and it's not the first time in a big game where he's looked, I wouldn't say out of his depth, but certainly struggling. And again, I obviously blame him a lot for that. Again, everybody looked at the mistake that he made, which led to Jesus' chance in the first half where he dribbles on the ball in a bad area, and he obviously gets pickpocketed. And again, like a lot of our midfield and attackers struggle to really get the ball in areas where he wasn't like instantly pressed and make things happen. At times he put himself about a little bit physically, won some aerial duels and that, but ultimately not good enough. And I think for me, especially with Ruben, I look at your position on the pitch and I just feel like he's never been comfortable playing that deep, especially against a team that want to press you that high. And again, I have to look at the management again. Again, it's a similar theme where managers are playing him in this position that I don't think is good for him, but at the same time, he's got enough experience to play in this position. He's played it many times before, and I've seen him play it better than he digested it on many occasions. So, not a good 75 minutes from him. I think he did come off for Kovacic towards the end of the game, and he was poor. He was poor. So I'd probably give him a 2. And that's being nice.
Yeah, Curtis says Loftus shouldn't even be at the club he's woeful. I think he's a decent squad player, personally. If I'm honest.
Fantastic squad player.
I agree
Absolutely.
with
Yeah,
Curtis.
brilliant. Again, this is what I say all the time with Ruben. Like, let's say he's our fourth choice midfielder. That's better than the likes of McTominay at United or El Neni at Arsenal. Like, that's a good squad player to have, and he's proven himself. I just feel like, again, he should be playing as an advanced 8, not in a deep lying 2. And at times yesterday, he was deeper than Jorginho because he got marked out the game. But yeah, ultimately, I thought fans are quite harsh on Ruben, but it is what it is. When you're missing Kovacic, he was injured and couldn't start the game. Kante's out.
Yeah.
You have to rely on Ruben in games like this, and ultimately he wasn't good enough.
But again, I still feel that Potter should have brought Kovacic on earlier. He left him well too late to bring him on. Why did he leave it that long? I don't know, in my opinion. But we move.
I think from what I know, I think he was just advised only to give him 20, 30 minutes at most. I think that's just what the recommendation from the doctors were. So that's why he didn't start.
Yeah, fair enough. Jorginho, I'll be honest with you. I'm not his biggest fan. I don't think he's amazing. But yesterday I thought he'd done as much as he possibly could in a team that was lacking control, which he usually likes to or gives us. I just felt in terms of getting stuck in and trying to win balls back and do his job as much as he could. He tried. Again, I just feel he's very limited. Once you get behind him, the defence is open. And there was a couple of times yesterday where he got caught in behind and the press was there and he isn't able to recover and get in space. However, in the same time, I felt in the midfield he's probably the only player that actually, for me, had an okay game, if you'd like to say, and tried to do what he could. Probably a 5.56. I'll give him a 6, to be honest, for Jorginho, for me.
Yeah.
What are you saying, Alex?
Yeah, completely agree. I obviously you could see too much when he was on the other side of the pitch, but when we were defending in that first half, he made some great interceptions, and you can only work with what you've got around you. And you said it, he's limited in what he can do. His job is to control the tempo, and if he hasn't got players making runs, if he hasn't got the support around him, you can't really expect too much. But I do want to also say I think on the pitch, I think he is a leader. I think that's underrated. I don't feel like people pay enough attention to those qualities. So I do think he gets criticised a little bit too much. But yeah, one of our better players yesterday, and certainly if he's going to be the only player who's up for games like this, he does deserve a new contract.
100% forward.
Again, like you, Jim, I'm not the biggest fan of Jorginho. I do recognize his leadership qualities, and I think he's a big part of the way we play. Because, I think a lot of way we play is designed around his strengths, and that's why I have to mark him very low, because he got marked out of the game. Again, I've watched the game back. I watched it from home, but I've watched the game back again where you're not under the same sort of adrenaline and enthusiasm of supporting your team. You can really see it for what it is, and a big part of why we got dominated is because Odegaard sat on him the entire game, and he really struggled to influence the game, which is why the likes of Ruben was have to drop even deeper to get on the ball. Same with Mason Mount had to drop really deep to try and get on the ball, and it just didn't work. And I don't think he done enough to get free of Odegaard and get in a position where he could dictate. Again, he did play a couple of nice forward passes, which again was more than what Ruben offered. But for Jorginho, who again is meant to be kind of our main midfielder, just not good enough. And again, in a game like this where he's not able to do much on the ball, you really see all of his frailties off the ball. And again, not winning the ball back enough. At times when he goes in to intercept the ball and the ball goes past him, then he's left really vulnerable. And again, there's a lot of space for the likes of Ruben and Mount to try and cover the spaces around him. So, yeah, I'd give him a 4. And again, playing like this, again, this isn't how I want us to play. But if we're playing like this, or we're resorting to long balls, then essentially we're better off having Zakaria as a DM, because we wasn't progressing the ball anyway. So
yeah, but at least I think at least Zakaria might have given us a bit more control. We had no control. Do you know what I mean? Like, might actually.
Yeah, I mean, that's what. 100%. That's control, not from being amazingly good on the ball, but it's because he can at least win a few more duels, like break away from a player, and then at least open up a bit more space for somebody else. So yeah, 100% agree. For me, Jorginho, I'd have to give him a 4. I don't think I can give many players above a 5 today because it was just that poor. It was just that bad yesterday.
Curtis Barrett with a donation again. Thank you for the donation, bro. Says we have a squad of wannabe models, not star players. Fair enough. That's it. That's again your opinion, and I respect your opinion, mate. Thank you for the donation there. I think people really want to get onto the forward line again, and talk about who they hate and don't like or do like. And here we go. We might get into it. I mean, let's start with Mason Mount. I'll be honest. I'll start this one. These are conversations that Minerals. If you're watching, mate, I'm sorry, sorry, but this is. I'll be honest with you. He was a ghost yesterday. He struggled to get involved. He didn't help the midfield defensively. He had that 8 role, which I feel is his best position, but didn't offer enough in the game. Didn't win any real tackles. Didn't really help moving the ball forward. I don't really know what he was doing in this game. I'll be honest with you. I don't really know where he was or what he was trying to do. I just feel with Mason Mount, like when Mason Mount has a good game and he's doing his thing, then the team in general seems to tick. I just, you know what I mean? Like when he's not involved and he's like he was scarce yesterday, and you know we didn't get the ball into him enough. He wasn't helping the team alleviate pressure from the opposition. Just struggled. And what was it? You know, because we're going to talk about all these forwards now and slag them off because they were crap and they deserve it. Don't get me wrong, but you know you can only look at why and how, and even in the basics of them doing the most basic things like linking normal 1-2 passes and running off each other, and you know doing them little things that you do for any team, forgetting the system. They struggle to even do that. So the criticism is the level of performance wasn't good enough from him where he needed to be, and in any way forgetting the performance of the whole team. But then again, I felt when you look at the system and what we tried to do, that it just wasn't working because we'd lost it in midfield. So the transition of moving the ball in quickly forward to the guys was never gonna happen because it just wasn't happening. I think the midfield of Arsenal was too dominant. Zinchenko, if you noticed, Alex, when we was there, he kept going into the middle, giving them more people in the midfield because we wasn't using the wings enough. So he just packed out the midfield and we kept losing it even more. And we just struggled. So I'll be honest with you, I thought Mason Mount was a serious 1 or 2. That's how bad I thought he was yesterday. I mean, Alex, what do you say?
Yeah, I mean, for me, a lot of the times I don't see it as badly as others, especially this season when they talk about Mount's performance. But this was the first game where, I mean, you said he was a ghost. I think the opposite. I think it was noticeably bad.
Okay.
No, I mean, he gave the ball away more times than I think he completed passes. And you know what? One thing I love about Mount, and I will say this, like Brighton, for example, and just other games, I really believe he tries the right things. And I'm not just talking about running. I think he makes the positive runs. He tries to be positive. And he does keep his head up, even when he plays like that. You know, the reason he keeps messing it up is because he keeps trying and he keeps going for it. And that's all great. And there's only so long we can defend it. For me, Gallagher is a like for like. I think Gallagher has all the qualities that Mount's got. I think he's a very, very similar player. I think he can score just as many goals. I think he can create just as much. And I actually think defensively, he's great with the press as well. So for me, if you are going to drop Mount, you could put him in that number 10 position instead of Havertz potentially, but I think Gallagher for Mount in the next few games would certainly be a shout.
Forward.
Oh wow! I mean, just it's difficult to put into words like some of these guys' performances and like my thoughts on them, because again, Mount is a player that I do like and I do rate like generally, but it's difficult when you see him perform like that to really back him in any sense. And again, not in terms of like, oh, we shouldn't be at the club or anything like that, but it's difficult to support these players when they perform so poorly like this. And like, Jem, I remember the last couple of shows I've been talking about like Mount in a deeper position, and I've always felt just like you and many of the fan base that he suits playing as an 8. But in recent games, whether it's been like in the last 20 minutes when we're changing things up, or some games when he does start as an 8, I don't feel like he's comfortable as an 8. He looks like an attacker playing deeper, whereas before he looked like a midfielder playing as an attacker. So yeah, it's not good to see for his development in general. And again, like I said on our last show, he is essentially our talisman, our marquee attacking player. He's a player that we built a lot of the attack around, whether you like it or not. And again, there's a lot of fans that look at him and say, "Oh, he's not even a patron like a Juan Mata, let alone an Eden Hazard." And that's true. I agree with that. That's not to put down Mount. That's just the facts of it, really. But the fact that we're putting so much emphasis on Mount again shows where the club is at. And again, Mount isn't good enough to carry this team by himself. I also have to look at Potter tactic, and we'll get into him as well. But tactically, the way he changed things from Zagreb, I'm very disappointed in. It didn't help the team at all playing Mount where he did, which we'll get into. But yeah, for Mount, I'm gonna give him a 2, and that's because I want to reserve some lower rating for other players. But yeah, he gets a 2. That's just not good enough.
Fair enough. Yeah, I still feel that his perfect position is that. I just feel the lack of consistency in their performances, and even along with this guy who we're going to talk about now, doesn't help, you know. And, you know, Kai Havertz came on for 60 minutes, and, you know, I think with Kai Havertz, the issue with it is the price tag, because it's heavily always looked at with the 70 million, when we expect him to be the Eden Hazard of our team. That's what I feel. But when you look at his ability and his attributes, he just isn't a dribbler. He isn't that, you know, these things. And look, he was poor yesterday. I wasn't happy with his performance yesterday. And I keep saying, to get the best out of Kai Havertz, you have to play him in that 10 role. We did it yesterday, but he just didn't. We didn't see it. I mean, he got the ball. He went past Saliba once and down the wing and took him on quite well. Don't get me wrong, that was once. But then other than that, he slips on the ball in one point. He got pushed off the ball easily. He tried to link up with Mount in the box and make runs and take, and he took off what I think was a weak shot with his right foot into Ramsdale. You know, again, it's a case of like, he doesn't disappear in terms of just standing around for me. He gets himself about, you know, and you can see he tries to make runs and do certain things, but you just expect so much more from him, because I think there is much more in him. I do. It's just that I don't know whether he's going to do that at Chelsea, whether he can be consistent enough to do that. And at the moment, he's not being consistent enough to do it. Whether it's a system problem, whether it's the way we set up, whether it's the lack of creation, whether it's the lack of dribblers around, because we don't have enough dribblers around. I don't know. I think it could be a couple of things with him. However, it wasn't good yesterday. And I'd easily put another 2 on him, as what I did with Mason Mount, in my opinion. It wasn't good enough. I'm not going to sit here and defend him about it. I don't know with Kai Havertz. You know, he came off in 60 minutes and we continue to still look poor. You know, so this is my thing. Does it go past just looking at the individual, even though we can give them 2s because they weren't good enough? And do we then look at how we were set up and what we could have done to maybe change it, give us a bit more control, do something fucking different, you know? Alex, what are you saying?
Yeah, I think it was a setup. I think I was speaking to Lewis yesterday, and Lewis says he's a luxury player, and I agree with that. After thinking about it, we need to play possession-based football to get the best out of Havertz. He's not a counter-attacking player. You know, we saw his crosses when you're running at pace. I mean, for God's sake, you couldn't even whip in a diagonal ball. I mean, that was bad. That was bad. You know, and yeah, I mean, do you know what? The guy hasn't had a bad few games. I've been given a lot of praise, and I believe people should be patient. And I also think that Potter's made an exceptional effort to fit in Havertz. I think that he's you know, played Mount in a different position. I think Mount would benefit more, you know, if he was playing in that position. I think Havertz has been given a lot of chances, but in this,
do you think they hinder each other, Alex? Do you think Mount and Havertz like sort of hinder each other?
Absolutely, and Gallagher. There's 3 for you. And you know, that's the problem. I mean, Mount and Gallagher, in my opinion, are 2 very, very, very similar players. And then you've got Havertz, who's different, but he still has that energy. He's still, you know, he's still got that mentality. He won't stop trying. I know people say, "Oh, you know, you can't keep talking about that," but I mean, you've seen over the years there's a lot worse you can do than Havertz. So I can always support that aspect of his game, but yeah, the way we set up was never built for Havertz. And Gallagher, I think, would have done a lot better in that game if he started.
Yeah, maybe from the intensity side, getting stuck in, winning the ball, helping the midfield. I think Gallagher and Mount, maybe that gives us a bit more.
I mean, and also making players look good around. I mean, Aubameyang, if Aubameyang had one of those balls in the box, yeah, it would have been a completely different game. And you look at anyone else could have made that ball. For some reason, in that final third, Havertz just seems to slow down. I mean, sometimes I see some of his shots, and it's like Jorginho. It's that bad. It is. There's no power. There's no power. And it's not a criticism to his ability. We know he's got it, but for some reason, that final third, even when he went through in the second half, I don't know if you remember, Obviously, they called offside. We all said, to be brutally honest, I didn't think he was going to score anyway.
I was like, "Go on, Kai!" It's just like I was like, oh,
I mean, I
fuck's
was
sake.
loving it, but I don't know. I mean, I can't. I don't know why people are expecting a lot when they're not seeing a lot. But I do believe that, given time and being played in the system, playing possession-based football, that's going to suit Havertz. And from what we saw in the past couple of games in Brighton, I think he was our standout player alongside Gallagher. Salzburg, he played well. Don't get me wrong; it's not Arsenal. We're not playing teams at the top of the table, but it's still it's improvements and it is more consistent. So if it's one game off, all right, fair enough. If it's two, if he does this against Newcastle and Man City, then I'm going to have to hold my hand and say, you know what, fair play.
That's the problem, though, isn't it, with Kai Havertz? It's just a lack of consistency in his performances. But then we say that for all of them, because when we bought Raheem
Sterling, also lack of consistency with the managers because they don't play him consistently the way he needs to play, and that's why I do give Potter credit because Potter's done that, in my opinion. So the onus is on Havertz to perform.
100%, I agree with that. I think he does need to be more. I mean, forward. What are you saying, man?
Listen, my good friend Kai Havertz. Jem, I've told you about this guy for a long time, bro. I've said he's not good enough for the club. I've said we should sell him. I'm hoping he's going to be sold in the summer. And listen, when people have got on my back about, oh, look at that goal he scored for Germany, he's back. Oh, look at the goal against Wolves or the screamer against Salzburg. Oh, he's back. Oh, forwards in the mud, this, that, the other. I'm like, all right, cool. Like, these are decent moments, but for an £18 million player, for a player, people are talking about being the first German superstar, generational talent, all of this. We need to see more than just a moment. We need to see more than just a couple of games. We need to see a run of good games. We need to see months of good form. We need to see good seasons because this is your third full season at the club now. There's no excuse about COVID, adapting to a new league. There's no more excuses. In fact, you're now playing in your best position. And yet people are still asking, people are still confused about what are your best attributes? What football suits you? Because my good friend here said that counter-attacking football doesn't really suit him, and that's interesting because I can see why you think that, having watched him yesterday because he was terrible. But at Leverkusen, a lot of their football was based on the counter, which is why he had a lot of success playing in like a right wing position. Also playing as a false nine, as a 10. He had a lot of success playing on a counter, and I think a lot of his attributes, like running at full speed, usually his decision making in the final third, or at least in transition, is quite good, which suits counter-attacking football. But none of that was on display yesterday. I don't say this lightly, but that was, for me, the most frustrating performance I've seen from a Chelsea player since Bakayoko at Watford. It was that bad. And it was even worse on rewatch.
But yeah, we move. Yeah.
Oh, we'll talk about Sterling, and I've got some interesting thoughts on Sterling yesterday. But Havertz was disgraceful. He was a disgrace to the badge. He was a disgrace to the club. Falling on his ass, like just embarrassing.
I mean, he slipped.
Instance
he slipped.
I think he fell on his ass. You say he slipped on his ass. It still ended up on your ass when you're meant to be dribbling.
It was raining. Come on.
I mean, listen, for me, right? Like, even the first 7 minutes, right? We're under the cosh. Mendy picks out a brilliant long ball to Sterling. Sterling plays it in behind. Kai Havertz has the opportunity to either cut it straight away to Aubameyang at the second post where you go for a tap in. Or, okay, you've taken a touch, you maybe didn't see it first time, cool. Go for the cutback, because Aubameyang's now made a second run for the cutback, and you go and kick it out for a throw. Embarrassing. And again, all of that, I can probably give him a 1, even though, again, I don't like the guy personally, like, as a player. So I may be a bit harsh and give him a 1, but what makes me give him a -2 for yesterday, and I'm saying this again, I'm giving him a -2 because it was that bad, was the fact that you've gone and thrown the game away. Again, Arsenal, I don't think were even great. They were miles better than us, but I don't think they were great. Yet their goal comes from one of their millions of corners that they didn't even take well, that went to the near post, wasn't a good corner at all. And yet you've gone and missed the ball on your stronger foot. Guys, I need everybody to watch this again. Watch the clip back again. He takes 10 steps back, or rather he retreats 10 yards closer to the goal. I don't know why, but okay, he does that, cool. And then he sees it all the way, so he has even more time to read the flight of the ball and clear it. And yet he mishits it with his stronger left foot. And at that point, it's too late for anybody to react, whether it's Mendy, Cucurella still giving Xhaka a bear hug, and then Aspilicueta didn't follow Gabriel at the back post. So for me, he's cost us the game. So he literally played against us. Terrible performance, -2. And like I've been saying all season, I hope Union Berlin, Freiburg, or any of these clubs pick him up in the summer, because I don't want to see my Chelsea Football Club anymore. He's terrible.
All right.
Oh, just me and you forward.
I mean,
Right.
I know I was harsh on
Okay.
Havertz, but I didn't think I was that harsh with
I literally removed myself. Oh, Jesus.
Listen, Jem, Jem, I don't know if the Havertz hate was getting too much for you, bro. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to send you off, bro.
No, listen, look, I get it. I do get it. And I'm not going to sit here and I'll never defend a player when they play shit. That's the one thing with me. I'll always be on the balance. If I think a player's decent, but someone don't, fine. You know what I mean? It is what it is. At the end of the day, it's, I don't think there's a bad player in him. I'll be honest with you. I just keep saying that. I don't think we're set up in a way to see that. And I don't think we might not see that with this current crop of players. So, if he goes Bayern, do not be shocked if he looks a lot better and scores more goals there. Because I just think the system and setup there will accommodate him. I just feel, again, consistency in playing him in that position, in the position that suits him, with a team that, like you said, which is possession based, you'll probably see the best of him. I don't think we're going to see that at Chelsea yet, because we miss profile players to do that. So at the moment, we can only play with what we got, which means that, again, I don't think we might not, see the best of him. He might have a good second half. He usually tends to always do have better second half of seasons, and we'll have to go from there. But I need to talk about Raheem Sterling. I need to talk, because I've been calling this guy for a while. I've been calling this guy for everyone walks around talking about Havertz and Mount and everything, but I don't feel like we've really spoke about the whole Sterling thing. And I know he's only just got here, and I've said I don't feel he's enough for this football club in terms of what we need in the forward line. I knew we needed more. I just knew it. I knew he weren't going to be enough. However, what I cannot accept with a footballer like Raheem Sterling, especially someone that's Prem proven, is the lack of wanting to even want to be there, try and make things happen, do something, even defend. There was points in the first half where he left his man, even though Ruben wasn't having a good time, left his man to run. So if Aspie's is marking Martinelli and Martinelli's got the ball, he will let that man that he was marking run behind Aspie and play the balls into him and just walk. It was frustrating. He got the ball. He was wasteful. Yeah, he was just running around in circles. He doesn't dribble. Doesn't like to dribble. He doesn't like to dribble one bit, and he's a dribbler. We've got a player that's meant to be a dribbler that doesn't dribble. Why? I don't know. I don't get it. Why they come to Chelsea and they just stop doing what they're good at doing. And he just lacks involvement. And for me, the big thing is being involved. Even if you're not playing well, just get stuck in, be involved, try and do something, even if you're not having a good game in yourself. He didn't look like that yesterday. And he's one of them players that we look at in these type of games to be the one that steps up. One of the most experienced, third highest goal scorer in Premier League history from a winger, which is what he is at the moment. And does it just fall down to one big thing again with Raheem Sterling? You have to create a lot for him to be, to be effective. I thought he would be the type of player, from what we've seen at the early parts of Chelsea, that would pick the ball up and try and create for himself, and maybe have that little bit of Eden in him where he can get the ball deep, turn 1-2 with someone. So that's what I thought we might have been seeing, along with him arriving in the penalty box and putting the ball in the back of net, which he's done at City for numbers of times. But yesterday's performance was woeful. It angered me. I was so angry watching him. It was bad. It was that bad because he did not try for the team. He just didn't look effective. And whether it's what Alex was saying, the way we're playing him, maybe, and him not being able to get involved. No, he was played further forward than any of the others. He was pretty much close to Aubameyang most of the game in terms of up that pitch on that side, and we still wasn't using him, or when he did get the ball, he wasn't effective enough. For me, he was a 0. I don't go below zeros because 0 is just the deadest thing, but he was a 0 for me. He was that bad in terms of how that first half, and then even in the second, he stayed on the pitch. He didn't get taken off. He stayed on the pitch for most of the game, and he was still ineffective. Still didn't see anything. Still didn't get a burst from him. Little moments running in behind in the second half, and trying to get the ball in. Little moments, but not enough for a player that's taking 300+ a week from this club. I want more from Raheem Sterling. At the same time, as much as I bang on about all that, I do know that we're lacking so much, and that it's going to be hard to get the best out of him to a degree. I just expect more from him personally. That's all. And that's it for me. Alex, what do you say?
I read a comment saying that he's saving himself for the World Cup. I don't think that that's going to happen. So, yeah, I mean, when he was playing as a wing back, I said to myself, do you know what? At least he's going to get more involvement and, get stuck in. That didn't work. We're playing him further forward, make things happen, be the player that makes a difference, not the player that goes into his shell. And
Yeah.
we talk about a star man. I don't see it. I mean, he had one or two seasons at City, but we're talking 4 years ago, Jem. 4 years ago, and it was a gradual decline. And they got a great deal with us buying him. They really did. I don't know what to say, man. I don't know what to say. I mean,
do you think he's effective in a system? Do you think a better Sterling would be a player that's put in a system that's actually got creators and is effective, rather than coming into a team that's in transition and is missing certain things and then asking him to be that thing? Maybe I'm looking at him to being too much. Maybe I expect too much.
I think that Sterling's the same as Lukaku in the sense that we need to play a certain way to get the best out of him, and we're not going to do it because we've got other good players that we need to utilise as well. He doesn't need to be involved. I believe that from what we saw in the Euros, we can still get that out of Sterling, but we're not going to do it. We never have. Chelsea they're just not that club, and that's why we have so many big players that flop, because when they played in whichever other club, everything was built around them. We have never ever accommodated superstars like a superstar. Does that make sense? It's like we accommodate these big players and we expect them to just be part of the grand scheme, the part of the team and the group. Yeah, I mean, he didn't take players on. He wasn't a leader. He isn't a leader on the pitch. I don't see that. When I talk about Jorginho, I know Jorginho has some bad games, but I do see leadership with Jorginho, even at his worst. I believe that there's a leader in there. I don't see that with Sterling. I don't. And yeah, just being the player when we're on the counter and you're 1-on-1, like, we've got nothing to shout about. Even if you give the ball away, you've tried. We don't even have that. So yeah, 0
forward. I mean, please tell me what you think of Raheem Sterling. I'm interested.
I will. I mean, I'll tell you what. Again, we spoke about in the past, which is that I don't think he addressed some of the key areas that we didn't have going into the summer transfer window, was that we didn't have a brilliant clinical striker who scores goals. Now, we know he has a good goal scoring record, but we also know that from Man City days, he relied on a lot of chance creation from the likes of De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva, the likes of Sane in the past, to get those goals. We know that, and that's why in recent seasons he's not been as prolific. That's why he's been pretty much a bench player, a second option for Pep. So I know that we didn't sign. We're not going to necessarily get a 25-30 goal season, Sterling. I also, again, Jem, you said that he's a dribbler. I don't really see it like that. I think he can dribble, and again, I think for England he showed that he could progress the ball up the pitch more often, and I hoped we would see that version of him at Chelsea. But that's never really been one of his USPs for me. I don't think he's a brilliant dribbler like an Eden Hazard or anything like that. I think he's more relying on his...
Can he not take players on? Do you not feel?
He can, but I don't think he's great at it. And certainly in the final third, again, I agree with your criticism that he should be trying to be more direct, because he's got the ability to try and do it. I just don't think he's great at doing it, which is why he doesn't do it as often as maybe people want him to. I think that's just the facts of it, how I see it. I do agree with you defensively that he didn't offer enough. Now, having watched the game back and listened to Potter's press conference, I do think that tactically he wasn't really tasked with dropping all the way back in like a natural right winger would. So having watched it back, right, for me, my perception is that off the ball we played a 4-2-3-1, which with Kai Havertz as a 10, Mount kind of as like the left mid lamb / kind of left centre mid, because when we were on the ball he would kind of drop in and be a left centre mid, and then Sterling off the ball he was a right mid. But then as soon as we got the ball, he sort of like played like right wing / split striker. And again, this is the thing with Potter. Naturally, we don't play with a set formation. It's sort of like it kind of like blends between one or the other. So that's kind of how we were playing, right? So he and Obaraki were kind of split strikers with Kai as a 10 when we were on the ball. When we were defending, they didn't track all the way back as often as maybe we would expect them to, but I don't think they were really instructed to do that. So obviously defensively, he didn't help a lot, but that's kind of down to the system. Now, in terms of his performance, I agree. Final third, he could have done more in terms of dribbling and whatnot. I don't think he was as bad as some of our other attackers. I think I would go as far to say he was our best attacker yesterday, which doesn't say a lot because they were all terrible, granted. I think Couch Critic brought up a good point that he played some really good balls in behind that weren't capitalized on. And I counted at least 4 really good through balls that were to Kai Havertz on a couple of occasions. Broja as well, he got in behind with one of his first touches. So he does play some good balls in behind, which I think is part of what he did at City. I think he's used to that kind of football where they play direct passes in behind and get players into situations where they can cut the ball back. And I feel like he at least offered that, which is more than what our other attackers offered. So I personally would give him a 2.5, maybe a 3, which is pretty decent compared to the rest of our attackers because I thought they were poor. But ultimately, no, I'm not going to say that that's a good performance from Sterling and that's worth 50 million and 300k a week. No, it's not. But at the same time, I'm not going to really criticize him for what I know he wasn't going to really bring to us. I ultimately know that he wasn't a match winner in the same way like an Eden Hazard was. I just know that he's not going to bring that, which is why for me, unlike a lot of other fans, I just was not excited about the signing of Sterling. I just know that you need other creators around him to make him better. And if you're relying on him as your main creator, you're going to be in trouble because my last point on this is at Liverpool, when they were a title challenging team, he was their tertiary threat alongside SAS, which was Suarez and Sturridge. That was an amazing tackline. You also had Gerrard behind him. He was a great creator. For Man City Centurion season, he had Aguero and Leroy Sané. He was Young Player of the Year. And you also had David Silva, De Bruyne behind him as well. A ridiculous team. And then in recent seasons, you've had the likes of again Aguero. He's been a bit declined. You also had Bernardo Silva, Phil Foden, and you saw that you didn't really see the best version of Raheem Sterling in those teams, which is because he had a lot more responsibility. And I think now in a team where he has the most responsibility, you're going to see him struggle because ultimately he's just not an individual player full with a lot of ability. He relies on his teammates, and we don't have the system or the teammates around him to get the best out of it.
Yep, and I absolutely air that, what you said, to be honest, 100%. And I think with Raheem Sterling, he's going to be here for the long run. And I just think, again, we're just going to have to see what pieces of the puzzle that we bring in at a later stage. And hopefully that then enhances his game and we have a better structure, a better system, a better philosophy, understanding of where we're going as well. So we'll have to see it at a later stage. But I do still expect better performances from him, just individually, just try and get involved in whatever else. I'll be quick with Aubameyang. He only had 6 touches the whole game. He was non-existent. We didn't get him involved enough. He did make some good runs behind. We never fed him through. Struggled to get involved in the game. I keep saying with Aubameyang, to get Aubameyang in the game, you have to create for him. He's not going to be a Didier Drogba where he's like, you know what, things ain't happening for me. Let me go deep and scruffle and get involved and get the ball and then take players on and then hold the ball. I don't know. I just don't look at him as that all-round striker. I just think you put him in the box. You create for him and you get him on the end of it and he scores them. And, he's got the movement to and the understanding of where to be. You can see it. Again, it just falls to lack of creativity and this, the people behind giving him that. And at the same time, he didn't get involved in the game. He couldn't really help the team and the forward line do anything. And I have to give him a 1 because 6 touches in a game is just shocking, or 0. Don't really matter, to be honest. But do you blame him or not? I don't know. I mean, Alex, what's your thoughts on it?
Well, if he's getting in the right positions, he's doing his job. I don't think it's as bad as what you're saying. It would have been a different game if he got fed. And I think one thing we can say this season that we couldn't say last season is if you do deliver, you have a striker who can score, which is refreshing. But we don't deliver. We haven't delivered. And it doesn't look like that's going to change anytime soon if we keep the personnel we have. For me, if you're getting in the right positions as a striker, and we know he can score the goals, he has, in my opinion, even though, don't get me wrong, it's not every game. I do believe he's going to be a success. I can't criticise Aubameyang too much. I really can't. So
much to say,
it's a pretty average performance, just like a 5.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, forward, what's your thoughts now? I just felt I gave him such a low score just because he was so not involved, But what are you saying?
I hear that. In terms of if you're depends how you grade players. If you're grading them on what they did, then he didn't do anything, so you can give him a 0, and kind of have a good basis for that. But you're trying to marking them down on what they did wrong, then he didn't really do much wrong. in a sense. So it's kind of one of them. I mean, I was a fan that didn't really blame Lukaku much when he only had 7 touches. Now his movement isn't as good as Aubameyang, but at the same time, I understand that these guys are poachers essentially, and they rely a lot on service. And when they haven't got a lot of touches, it isn't really much to do with them. It's more to do with the fact that the system isn't doing well. And now we're seeing you have another striker who has an embarrassingly low amount of touches in a game. That kind of it's a theme now. It's a trend at this point. So it's not just now the strikers forward. You have to look at the team, and there's a team that's constantly doing it, and that's us, or these big 6 teams. So again, it's nothing personal, but I got to give him a 2. And again, it's funny because he had the whole talk before the game, and I don't think he was kind of forcing the whole angle before the game. But yeah, obviously disappointing that he didn't have any impact on the game. I think one thing that's frustrating, and again, I do want to save time to actually speak about Potter like afterwards, because again, his tactics really, really triggered me yesterday. But obviously with Aubameyang, when you're trying to play long ball football, he doesn't suit that at all, because now without the pace he had in his prime, he can't run the channels the same way. He can't offer us that kind of like a respite up front in terms of holding the ball up. He's never been great at that. And if you're going to play that way, Potter, then start Broja, because Aubameyang's not going to offer you anything anyways. And yeah, obviously if you're not creating chances for Aubameyang, then obviously he's going to have games where he doesn't do anything. So yeah, I'll give him 2 or 3. It doesn't really matter. He just didn't do anything.
Okay, fair enough. Well,
I do just want to say one thing, Jem. Sorry, mate. Yeah. For people in the chat saying it was a mistake bringing in Aubameyang, who else were we going to get? Who else is going to come in? You know, we didn't exactly have options. So
100%.
Poor squad planning for many years.
Yeah. I mean, do you want to have a quick word on Potter on this game specifically? I mean, we spoke about Alex, didn't we? Already a little bit briefly. What was your rating be of Potter on the decisions that he made yesterday? Overall, it could be like the subs, it could be the setup, everything, pretty much the man management of the game.
Is that me you're asking?
Well, let's go to Alex. See what he's got to say. Then we'll go to forward. Yeah.
Okay. What the way he's managing the squad?
No, just that game specifically, man management, setup, timing of substitutions. What would you rate Potter overall, and what were your thoughts on that?
If we're looking at an individual game, I think he approached it the right way in terms of trying to sit back. I think that was the only way we were going to get anything out of that game. People coming out at half time being negative, I said, we're at 0-0. We're not losing, so we're doing something. But yeah, no, I mean, it wasn't good. It wasn't good. But I just believe in the grand scheme of things, the way he manages, he's not thinking about it game by game. And that's where there's going to be a bit of a clash with the fans, because fans want to win here, now, all the time. And he'll be thinking about the long-term process, which I presume is what Bowley promised him. And I hope that he fulfills that as well, because we can complain as much as we want, but I'd love to be sitting here in a year or two speaking and saying, thank God we never sacked him. Thank God, we actually backed our manager for once. So, yeah.
Fair enough. Forward, go on. What do you want to say about the manager quickly?
Yeah, I mean, I give him a 2. Listen, very frustrating, terrible tactics. And again, Tuesday, or was it Wednesday? Sorry, was meant to be a dress rehearsal. We saw it with his tactics, his lineup that he put out. Sakari aside, he put out a strong team, and what we perceived was going to be a dress rehearsal for yesterday. And yet he changed the system from what we played then, because we played a very strict 4-4-2 diamond. Hello guys. 4-3-3. Yeah, what's up, mate? But yeah, so the fact that he changed the system from what we played was very frustrating. And then obviously other little personal issues which annoy me. I'm not annoyed with the Kovacic one. I understand that he was injured. Fair enough. He can only play 20-30 minutes. Cool. But Koulibaly played 60 minutes midweek, which means he's fit enough to start this game for sure. And if you're setting up defensively, like Alex said, if you're setting up defensively, you want a physically strong defender like Koulibaly, who's going to be able to defend a lot of the corners that we face, a lot of the set pieces that we face. It made sense to start him. And for me, you move Chalobah to right back, because Aspilicueta didn't get cooked like we thought he would by Martinelli, but he did struggle quite a bit, and Chalobah certainly would have done better out there. So that didn't really impress me at all. And again, my thing with Potter is, no, I'm not saying anybody should be saying we should be Potter out or we should want him out now. He's not good enough for us. You can question what he's done now, but I don't think that should make you feel like like it could not work out in the long term because again we've just seen with yesterday Arteta, like a lot of people counted him out many times, and look what he's done with them now. So we have to give him time, but I do worry about if he's got the personality to manage these egos and these players, because again, people are talking about a comment they made with Mason Mount saying that Mason Mount likes to play, likes to be in that rhythm, so that's why we like to play him a lot. No, it shouldn't be what Mason Mount wants. It should be what you think is best for the team long term. So that worried me. But also, if you're going to play a certain way, which is clear, then why are you starting Aubameyang if you're relying a lot on aerial balls and going long and direct? When you've got Broya who can do that, who's admittedly the fastest player in the team, according to Raheem Sterling. He released that in a recent interview.
He
If
look
you want
like
to
it.
play on the counter attack, oh, he's rapid, bro. Bro, just rapid. Again, he's a bit raw,
No.
but he's rapid and he will put himself about. Like, and
I mean,
Aubameyang,
Saliba beat him completely to a ball, which he was closer to, which was surprising, really. But I don't know how quick Saliba is. Yeah.
Oh no, Saliba is a beast. I mean, Saliba is a beast. I mean, even in Marseille days, I thought this guy was ridiculous, but what he's doing now is next level. But I've been said that at least Broy was putting himself about, like at least forcing Saliba to clear it, or like at least get us up the pitch. Okay, this situation that you're talking about, it ended up being an Arsenal throw in their half, but at least Broy was giving us the option to go longer and be more direct. But obviously, he came on just after we conceded. So again, you look up and say, could you not make that sub 5-10 minutes earlier? Because second half, nothing really changed. So disappointed in Potter, disappointed in the shape that he chose to set out with. Again, Mason not playing in the position that he did on the left side. I always think he's better on the right, but playing him on the left, he just looked terrible. Havertz in the 10 role did not work out at all. Sterling, again, it seemed like a tactical decision that he wasn't tracking back deep enough to work to like help deal with Xhaka and Martinelli, who had a lot of freedom on their left side. I also thought Sterling struggled generally with Zinchenko, and I don't know if Potter had any solutions generally to deal with the fact that Arsenal were building up with a 3, then a 2 with Zinchenko alongside Partey. So yeah, so many mistakes, so many things that I would have thought would be better from Potter, who's meant to be this kind of tactical guru in a sense. So of course he needs time. He also needs players to be fit because, admittedly, as bad as and embarrassing as yesterday was, and it should have been a lot better. We also do have to admit that Arsenal are one of the few teams in the league who can boast their full 11 right now, and us, we have 6 or 7 key injuries.
Yeah.
So obviously that has to be taken into account. But ultimately, Potter needs to do better in the coming 2 games, and then he needs to make use of this World Cup period and get his tactics across because so far it's not good enough.
Yeah, I hear you, bro. I hear you. Good insight into that. Let's get into the other people quickly as well. AJ, what you saying, my bros? Shocking defeat yesterday. What was your thoughts, mate?
Yo, big up. It's a tough loss, I had a little bit of confidence. I know at this point Arsenal right now is the better team, so it was tough. But I mean, going into the game, being a Chelsea fan for so long, you're used to like that big game mentality, and then on top of that, just beating Arsenal. But over the last, 3-4 years, it's been tough. I'm regarding Potter, I know a lot of people are upset with Potter or they think he didn't set us up right, but I think he did the right thing. I think that platform of the 4 defenders and the 2 midfielders was what we needed to do. Now, I think ahead of that, we should have stuck with the 3-1 instead of the 2-2. Because I don't think that we have the combination play or just the skill set of players to execute that game plan properly. You need dribblers in the team. You need people who are clinical. You need people who just understand how to complement each other and combine in tight spaces. And I don't think Mount and Kai and Raheem are a good mix of attackers. I think it should have been Pulisic and Zakaria should have been in the midfield. Because now you have somebody to complement Partey and Xhaka. They were just dominating the game. Then when you look at Odegaard, like Mount is supposed to be our Odegaard. And you look at Odegaard, his impact in the game, Mount is not having that impact. And he should be comparing himself to that. So I think we set up okay, but I think the forward areas wasn't set up properly. And I think we lost the game like right in that midfield area. Hold on, I wrote down 2 things. Again, the dribbling thing is just a crime to me because when you're under pressure, you can't always pass your way out of it. It's just not gonna always work. You know, that's why when Kovacic is in the team, we look better because he can dribble around the press. That's why when Pulisic is on the team, our attack looks a bit more fluid because he can open up a new angle for a different pass. Like when Gallagher scored the goal against Crystal Palace, Pulisic came on and opened angles and Gallagher got a shot. So it's like, I think Potter now needs to understand the combinations of players that we have. He needs to just get that combination down pat. But I think the play, he set up the team okay again, like I said, but he just needs to understand who needs to play with who. Mount and Kai, they like to occupy similar areas. So it's not going to work going forward. Defensively, I was surprised that Azpilicueta, he held his own. He didn't really get beat by Martinelli too bad. He didn't give up a goal, So I think he outperformed what we were expecting. Everybody was saying, "Oh, we can't start Azpi, and we can't start him in a 4." But he proved that wrong. Now I don't know every game if he could do that, but he proved us wrong. On the other side, Cucurella, he didn't have the best game, but again, Saka didn't have a direct involvement in a goal. He gave up a few fouls. He got a card. All of that. He had his silly moments, but again, defensively, he did his job. We need to understand that these are defenders. They did their job. It was 0-0 at halftime. The game was still there for us.
It was still there, but it was still there, but it wasn't.
It wasn't there. Look, listen, we rode our luck. Arsenal had chances, but that's how the game goes,
We were lucky to get there in a bit because the midfield and Ruben was not there. The forward line was not ticking. We had a lot of pressure on the defence as well, a lot of pressure. But saying that, and I keep saying this, as good, Arsenal with their strongest team out, they didn't make that much. So I get what you're saying in terms of creativity in the from them in the first half. However, they had better moments in the game where they could have punished us from state and things like that. So yeah, I hear you, AJ. I hear you, bro. No player agendas. What do you want to say, bro?
Oh, I don't know why we keep talking about managers, man. These players, these players are useless, man. Like, 3 years of rubbish, and people still are talking about Potter out or this is Tuchel's fault. None of these players are really good enough for Chelsea. Listen, I'm just going to be honest. They're just not. They're not at the level. I'm going to give the new players time, like Cucurella and Koulibaly, but yeah, these players have let me down too many times. Now I'm just not. I don't feel that much anger anymore. The disappointment.
You sound dejected, mate. You sound dejected. That's what you sound. I mean, after that game, I don't blame you. I was there. Imagine coming out and it's pitted down with rain with an umbrella and you walk. Oh, mate, I got soaked. I was.
When the goal went in, I wasn't even angry. I was just like, it was suspected. It was suspected. Don't know why people are blaming Cucurella for that goal, though. A bit weird because he was the only defender actually blocking the Arsenal player by actually doing his job on the corner. But
it was kind of hard.
Yeah, it looks funny, right? That's why people were highlighting it, but he was actually doing his job.
Yeah, but his positional sense, all right. I know you meant to mark your defender, but if he'd have had his positional sense where he could have turned his body, maybe when that ball come across, he might have been able to swing his left foot. I don't know. Do you know what I mean?
He probably would have.
The ball went behind him, didn't it? Because he was just like that. He couldn't even worry about the ball going behind him.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
I thought he had an okay game, to be honest. But at least on defensively, he was good. Because Saka didn't do a lot, to be honest. And Saka's one of the most informed players in the league. So
he dived a lot. I'll give him that. He did dive a lot yesterday, Saka. But it is what it is. No surprise. I'm assuming you're no surprise with the result, yeah?
Yeah. Why? I don't know why people get angry. I keep telling these people. Keep telling people that these players hate playing league football, man. This team has hate, no matter what the combinations are, they've hated playing it since 17-18 season. They hate playing league football. They love the cups. Love the cups. No pressure.
This is why we are a cup team, guys.
That's right. Exactly right. That's why we are a cup team. That's why when the Dortmund thing came out, I have no doubt they'll raise their game for Dortmund. They'll raise their game probably on Wednesday. We'll probably get knocked out, but they'll still raise their game.
We've been a cup team for 5 years now.
And everyone will go, oh, at least they tried. Bro, that is just... Whatever you think about mentality about this team, they just
I agree.
And this is, as a collective, they suck. Yeah, as a collective, they are so weak-minded that anything that goes against them, or they shrink. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
Even the best, and I know people might sound fed, but even like you're expecting someone like a Thiago Silva to step up or something like that, but he can only do so much, and then he gets affected by all the shit around him. Do you know what I mean? I mean,
It's true.
is it? I think you have to set your expectations of these players low, because they're not going to achieve what people think they're going to achieve. You can say what you want about Mount and what about Kai. I know how I feel about them. Then that's why I don't rate. That's why I don't rate
It's
them
boring,
as
isn't
highly.
it?
Yeah, but also I don't rate them as highly, so they're never going to be. I'm never going to be that angry. Do you know what I mean? If they do a simple thing that's wrong, like a 5-yard pass or a shot, then I will be. But do you know what I mean? I'm not expecting them to do much. And everyone can go on about, it's the manager, bro. These players are onto their third manager now. They're onto their third manager. If your focus is not solely on these players, the manager. Do you know what I like about the manager though? He's trying different formations, and they're still being crap in all those formations as well. So why is it?
Well, we know this though, didn't we? We've been saying it for a while. We know this.
He's tried everything.
It doesn't. Yeah. He's trying everything, and
he's tried everything.
I don't think
exposing the players.
I don't think he's meaning to, but he's exposing how limited these players are. He's exposing it. He's not meaning to. I will say this: his comment about Mount last night, I was really frustrated with. No player should be telling you how to play that he wants to play. Okay.
Yeah,
how many times have I said this to you, Jem, that we've overplayed Mount? He's approaching 200 games for Chelsea. 200 games. Are you insane?
Wow.
Are you insane? 200 games.
Wow, I'm shocked,
He's played
guys.
every game this season.
Yeah, he plays every game for 90 minutes. No wonder,
That because he's the manager's son.
And for the limited player that I think he is, that's too much.
It's because he likes rhythm.
I don't. Well, be a dancer, isn't it? You're like rhythm. You know what I mean? But I'm just like, listen, you can blame the injuries all you want. That's absolutely fine. But I'm seeing players that can't even do the basics right at the moment. And whether you think that's a manager's fault or not, these are professional, well-played players who don't need to be told how to pass properly, the instincts and stuff like that. I'm sorry.
It's the basics. It's what you said in the basics, but it's also the try it. I was there.
Exactly. And
they're the two things that wind me up the most about when we play. If we don't win, fine, we're going to lose games. When you don't try and you can't do the basics, that fumigates me.
If we lose, I don't mind if I can see fight and
exactly. I agree.
That was pathetic yesterday. And Arsenal didn't even play that well. That's how pathetic we were yesterday.
I know.
That was a lucky goal, bro.
Arsenal weren't even playing that well.
And they controlled the game. They weren't even playing that well.
That's
bad,
well. I mean, how many? Let's be honest. How many saves did Mendy have? We talk about 2. How many saves?
2.
3.
It was
3.
And they were what? They weren't even like the best of the best. Do you know what I mean? It was like, it's just. But like I said, guys, I wouldn't listen.
It's what I say, Mustafa. Understand your expectations, and you know where the football club is at the moment, and you'll be able to you'll be angry about the performance, but you'll be able to sort of move on, knowing that.
Do people understand? Do people understand how deep the rot is in this squad? It is deep, and we did a big overhaul this summer, and we still need a massive overhaul. Still,
I keep saying
every area of this pitch needs improving. Yeah,
the midfield especially.
Now, every area of this pitch needs improving. Don't focus on one
including the bench.
Every area, the bench.
Yep, we need that.
Everything.
We need that.
Yeah, we need that.
We need a backup right back for James.
The midfield is the most important area of the pitch, and that's where we're failing.
I keep saying, every area needs help and needs improvement. Every area.
I agree with what you're saying 100%. Winter Surfer. DRD nobody. What are you saying?
Yo. R1. Nice to see you guys. Good channel as it always is. It's time as Chelsea fans, we have a dialogue. Thomas Tuchel was right, but also Lukaku was right.
Oh, fucking hell.
With the same players, let's be honest here. Thomas Tuchel was right. We have the same players. This is the third manager. This is the third manager that this crop of players, the core, has gone through, and we're seeing that it's not really taking, is it? And let's be honest, Lukaku was also kind of right, because these the creativity this team lacks is actually striking.
agree.
It needs Reece James and wingbacks to score goals. It needs defenders like Marcus Alonso to oh my god, he's in the box, score goals. Like, it just has no bite, no pace. I'm very worried because if we do sign Nkunku, what to say he won't do a Werner? What to say he won't do a Havertz? I genuinely think the key to our success with Conte, with that 3-4-3, was having these three archetypes of midfielders. You have a destroyer in Matic, a tall, strong figure. We kind of got that with Zakaria. We could get that with Rice if we get him. Then you got the midfield maestro, the creator. That's Fabregas. That was Fabregas. When you needed someone to just pick out the perfect pass, that would be him. And then you got the engine. We've always had engines in our club. It's one of the main pieces in our midfield history. Essien, Ramirez, Kante, Makalé, we always have engines in our midfield. Those are the three archetypes. This team doesn't have that. This team doesn't seem to have.
That's not enough, by the way.
It's not enough as well. It's not enough.
There's other areas in that you need as well. But yeah, go on.
We just don't have this natural build of players to move the ball and keep the ball, and then to create something out of typically nothing. There was one part of the game which really it didn't shock me because Arsenal are good, they've improved, but it was in our side of the half. They popped it around us. I think everyone remembers they popped it around us and they broke. I think Martinelli, they broke on the counter attack. And you're just looking at it and you're thinking, shit.
Yep.
They're popping it. And we just can't. We can't do that ourselves. We have so many players that are limited.
They're talking about the Jesus header, innit? I think that's the one I
What really annoys me. So I understand that what we need, but the fact that when we went forward, I know it was very limited. We had no build up, nothing. We just lost the ball. It's like they didn't even play with each other. And sometimes it was very weird. But the way that even when we didn't have the ball and we tried to sit back, how easy they just picked us off and got the balls into the Sakas and Martinellis. And next minute it's 1-on-1s with either Aspie and Cucurella, and you're like, how are they making that so easy? And on top of that, why it's making that so easy is because with their wingers, they're natural dribblers. Natural dribblers attract players and they always find space. They always make space for themselves. And that's why we're so effective. Always so effective. We don't have any of that. We don't have any of
that. It's disgusting because I don't care what anyone says. I don't care if Xhaka's making a resurgence. I've seen him when he's shit. So why is he able to do that to us now? Why? We've seen these players, these same Arsenal players. Yes, it's a bit different, but we've seen these guys are not that good. How have we made Xhaka look so good? Oh my god!
I think they got Partey, who's
it's obvious though, because they have some good players who've just improved, but they also have an understanding of what they want to do. And one of the reporters asked Potter afterwards, but he said that your players didn't look like they know what they wanted. They didn't look like they know what they wanted to do on the pitch, which was true for the most part. Saying he wasn't able to execute, but they just haven't got an understanding of where they need to be on the pitch. And again, certain areas of the pitch where like Zinchenko's dropping into DM, and then you've got Odegaard splitting into different areas. I thought Jesus, he's not a great finisher, but my word, he ran our team ragged, bro.
That's what he does.
The positions he was pitching up, the way he was picking certain midfielders, like he was just on another level. And when he dropped in, Jorginho and Ruben didn't have any idea of whether to pick up him or Odegaard or Zinchenko popping into spaces. Like we just got bullied. And again, it's about understanding. It's about having an understanding as a team of where you need to be on the pitch, but then also the quality to execute once you get on the ball. And we need to get on the ball in certain areas, which were good, but we just never were able to execute because we don't have the quality.
And they were having to also drop deep because we were assisting with playing out from the back, which doesn't work at this moment in time for us. Okay, so the defenders midfielders have to drop deeper to try and collect the ball or stop Arsenal pressing. Then there's a big gap in the middle, and we lose the ball, or we can't do it. And Sterling then has to drop deeper to collect it, and it just leaves Kai and Oba up there by themselves who aren't.
And then when they look up, there's no runners in behind. Like Oba, he's jogging, but he's not, because he knows he can't get past Gabriel Saliba on any side. He knows he's not going to win that race.
So everyone
when we're locked in
the back, and everyone drops 20 yards deeper, apart from the two of Oba and Kai. So it leaves a massive gap. They're not going to run in from behind because they can't do it. So we lose the ball
because
that's how we lost the goal.
You missed.
You
missed
between Sterling and Jesus is striking. It's so
you got night and day.
Jesus and Sterling both can't really score, but Jesus really uses his body well to bring other players in.
And he dribbles.
His intelligence, it's the knowledge of the game and space and what to do with the ball. Like, it's way better than Sterling. Sterling is like almost like a chicken with no head once he gets the ball. It's just madness. There's no composure on it.
No, if Jesus could finish, he'd be up there with Kane and Haaland, bro. Like, his overall play is ridiculous. Like, and the fact that we could have got him in the summer, bearing in mind that we have Champions League football. We're a team that won the Champions League recently, and we didn't go for him, and we took Sterling. Terrible talent ID from our board, as usual. Terrible.
That's the type of player we need, too. Somebody to drag us and lead us forward.
I was in the Matthew Arden, and the ball hit me. It must have hit the Matthew Arden stand about 3-4 times from him. Like he had a real clear one. I think it was Martinelli cut inside, and he played the ball over the top for the header at the back post. He was on his own, and he absolutely scuffed it. Like
that's when they boxed us up off the pitch. He's not a good finisher at all, but he's imagine him as like a winger for us, or just even an attacker behind like a Poacher and a Aubameyang. Let's say if he was in a Chelsea shirt yesterday, we would at least be able to drive up the pitch a bit more.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. At least he gives
the pitch.
Look at the area though. Look at the area where he. You
have none of that in this team.
Look at the area he's allowed to dribble.
He just knows how to
higher up the pitch because of the way they played. It was higher up the pitch, so he was allowed to get the ball either wing and dribble in. And he should have scored yesterday with that header as well. He should have scored that, and that's the problem. We're asking the guys who aren't good enough at dribbling start dribbling from inside or outside.
They can't do it. That's not their game.
I
mean, Pulisic can do it, but he doesn't do it enough. Sterling, I thought, could do it, but again, he doesn't want to. So it's like
type of dribbler, Jim. He's not that type of dribbler you're thinking about.
Unfortunately, Sterling's a ball carrier. He's not like
he's a ball carrier. He's got no trick.
He's not a hazard.
He can beat a man with his speed. You know what I mean? Like, he's got speed, isn't he? Like, bang, you know what I mean? Like, move it, shift it quicker. Like,
like a Willian. More like a Willian than
leaders.
I'm not saying beat Eden Hazard specifically and his ability, like dribbling ability, because that was like say, but I'm just saying, like, you got speed, you got low center of gravity, you're actually all right with the ball at your feet when you go forward with it. Why do you not do it? Why do you just fucking stop and then go backwards? Or just stand on the spot. Have you seen him stand on the spot and move his legs really quickly, but he doesn't go anywhere? And it's like, what are you doing? And then he done it. He got. To be fair to him, he was on his own. He got surrounded by 2-3 Arsenal players, but instead of just running that way, he just stood on the spot and like I don't know how he still had the ball over 2 challenges, but he did. Yeah, and then it was like, all right, release it, but there was no one around him for him to release
it.
That's
what I mean. It'd be nice.
Very isolated.
It'd be nice to see what he looks. It'd be nice to see what he looks like in a balanced, better Chelsea side.
Yeah, I agree.
Because if I may, can I propose something, Jim? If I may, listen. Look. I don't think we're gonna get top 4. If I'm honest, I don't think we're gonna get top 4. I thought it quietly for a while, but I think looking at it now, even though again I think Tottenham are a shit football team, but they have match winners up front, and if Son gets on good form, Richarlison gets back from injury, Kulusevski's a baller. He got an assist yesterday. Kane, who's obviously a brilliant striker. They might pip us in terms of finishing ahead of us. I think Liverpool, if they stay injury clear. I think Liverpool, if they stay injury clear, they can go on a run of 6-7 games winning, which I don't think we're capable of doing. United, again, there's question marks around them, but again, they have Casemiro, they have Anthony. They just have better players in certain positions that we just don't have. So again, top 4 is there to be got. I just don't know if I can trust these players to get it. But whether we get it or not, for me, I don't think that should be the difference between us still getting players like Nkunku. And for me, a must get this summer is Rafael Leao, because I'm sorry, I'm sick of seeing wingers who can't dribble past players, bro. Give me somebody who's a free spirit who will take the ball no matter what and just go past players, trap players to him and beat them. And has not just the skill to do it, but also the pace and power to do it. Because if he doesn't beat you with skill, he'll just wait you off the ball and just go past you, bro, and make something happen. And we need that.
You don't think Champions League depends on that?
And I just asked that question.
So this is my thing, right? So no player generally said that we need Champions League to do it. And I think Champions League helps, certainly. And I feel like without Champions League, we now have to pay more. We have to offer not just a bigger transfer fee up front, but also offer bigger wages. But I think we can do that. I think we're a club where we can still attract these types of players, because you look at Man United, for many years, they've not been in the Champions League. And I understand that they're a bigger club than us and they offer more money, sure. Yeah. But we're not miles away from them. We're not like an Arsenal or Tottenham. We can still offer big money. And again, I've seen United in windows where they're not in the Champions League go and get Di Maria from Real Madrid, or Pogba, who was the player of the year in Serie
But
A, or
if
Zlatan, who was the player of the
Nkunku
year in the
is get
French league. Like, we can get these players if we
if
put the money down.
Nkunku is getting
And Bowley's
offers
shown that he wants to do
from
that.
Bayern and PSG and all of these type of places, like I understand that, but like if at the same time, why would he choose Chelsea? You know, unless he really loves Chelsea. You know,
No, it's just
like
listen.
sometimes
He's
opportunities only come around once in a lifetime, and they're not gonna just bank on. Okay, I'm gonna just go to Chelsea unless I love them. You know?
Those clubs. That's why we're doing this quickly. Those clubs are waiting for his buyout clause to kick in.
Exactly.
That's why we're doing it quickly. Also,
Yeah, which
can
is
I just
good.
say,
It's proactive,
can I
which
just
is
say,
good.
if it's not fourth, I'd rather finish eighth.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
100%. 100%.
I'm not doing. Listen, I couldn't be bothered the
I
last
know what you're
Europa
saying.
League. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Conference League, get out, man. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this Thursday night, Sunday football.
Makes sense.
Bullshit, man. I'm not doing this. You know what? I'd rather get out, give longer for Potter to do what he needs to do. He's only playing once a week, twice in some weeks. That's it. But let him go in because I just think that would be better.
Plus, that squad wouldn't get injured as much.
Exactly.
We lose so many players.
Look at Newcastle now. Newcastle haven't got a great squad, but they're playing once a week and it's benefiting them, bro. Like Almiron's balling, Bruno Guimaraes is a killer, bro. He's a ridiculous centre mid, like, and they haven't got to rely too much on their squad depth. Like, they've only got one major injury in St. Maximin, but the rest of the squad's been able to stay fit.
You know
So
what? I will not.
yeah, if
I will
we're out
not
of Europe, that'll
respect
be
the
brilliant for
Europa
us.
I would not respect the Europa League. We won it twice without trying in the past few years.
That's
Don't
true.
forget.
That's true.
Don't
And one of them,
forget.
we're
That's
not
the only
winning
thing
it.
that's the only thing I respect these players for. Whenever they drop into that B tier competition, at least they go and win it, unlike Arsenal and United. Like, at least we go and win it when we're there. But at the same time, I don't want another long run. We don't need that. Like, we need to be getting back to winning Champions League.
That's because we're a cup
We
team.
need Casado and Alvarez.
That's it. We're good at winning cups. Guys, I do need to shoot though. I know Hassan and Mabas need to talk to you guys, but I do need to go. It's 2:30. So Hassan, quickly, what do you want to say? Go on.
I'm just going to be very, very quick. I was going to say that 5 minutes ago. If you went to me 5 minutes ago, I would have said you probably need a shoot as well. But the problem is, and I was just going to be very, very quick about it, is these players are just dog shit. It's as simple as that.
You say it all the time, mate.
I've said it before. Why do you think when I, when I said it to you when Potter comes in, how long will it take? How many games will it take before these players go on a rough patch and they show who they really are? And let's be honest, it was unsustainable even when we were winning. And some of the old fans, including you, Jem, I don't think Prime Petacek has won more than or was going to win 3 times back-to-back man of the match towards the way Kepa was going. I can't remember the last time I remember a goalkeeper winning back-to-back man of the matches. Never mind 3. So hand on heart, bro, I ain't gonna lie. The wins were unsustainable. But the only reason why I wasn't saying it was because we won. And I don't want to be seen as negative. But in terms of actual performances, these players are actually dog shit. And what you guys were saying before about different formations, Potter exposing them. If anything, Tuchel actually exposed them as well. If you guys remember, from January to February, 5 different formations. They were still scoring 5 goals a year. We played Ziyech in his favourite driving position. He got 1-2 extra assists. That's about it. These players are utter rubbish. The squad needs major surgery. And I'm not gonna lie, these poor performances and these poor form. It's the matter of fact that Potter's, no offense, whether you like Potter or not, he doesn't have the resume or this reputation to back himself as a proven manager. So I feel for him, but these fans are going to scrutinize him as well as me.
Yeah.
And we're in a long rebuild. So I just feel for these fans, man. Like, they're just going to have to be patient. We're not saying. I'm just going to quickly finish here. We're not saying to lower your standards or anything. It's just to be patient. You can keep your standards and be patient at the same time, but these players, oh my God, they are so close for me to slip my tongue and say Potter. Potter needs to be scrutinized. That's
Yeah,
how
but they
bad they're
do. But that's social media, and they will react upon game and game and game. It's the way we are, but they forget that there's a longevity, there's a transitional in what we're trying to do. That we lack certain prolific styles of players and depth in the squad and areas that need to be strengthened. There's just like we need to understand where we're at, and that's why I keep telling people understand where we're at, and then when we lose these games, be angry with it. Talk about the players, talk about the manager on this game. I get that you're going to do that, but when you start saying Potter out after one game, or 2 games, it's like, come on, guys, like let's stop doing that. We're not in the Roman era. I don't think we're in the Roman era anymore. But we'll
guys,
see.
all I'm gonna say is a quick message to these lot, Twitter, to all the people on Twitter.com, bro. You could get likes for liking players and stuff like that in interaction. But let's be honest, the minute they walk out the door, you all gonna be in Nkuku, Liao and stuff like that. So stop defending these bums that you get likes and interaction for. Because the minute you switch to Nkuku and Liao, you'll still get the same likes. These lot of bums. Jorginho was our top scorer, scoring penalties. They're bums, so stop it. Please.
Anyway,
it was only like 7.
Yeah. I've got to shoot. My best. Have you got anything you really want to say quickly? I've got to go, mate. What do you want to say?
Big up, Jem.
Go on. Big up.
I just want to say I'm not happy with the result, first of all.
Okay.
And second of all, the reason why we lost is because we have mentality issue. We've had this for 5 years now. 5 years.
Yep.
Okay. Anything else?
We need in the summer or in the January window, we need a creative midfielder, a backup right back for Reece James, and we need a winger, someone who can take on players. That's what we need in our team right now.
Yes, sir.
There you go. I hear you, bro. I do hear what you're saying as well. And we move on to the next game, which is Man City away. Ooh, are we excited?
Oh my god.
Man City away, and then Newcastle away. As Man City and Newcastle away. What's up?
I said Wednesday date, so I miss it.
Yeah. Anyway, guys, I've got to shoot. Got lots to do. Take care of yourselves. Enjoy the rest of the day. I'll be back very soon. Smash the likes, share, leave a comment, do all that jazz as well. And see you again very, very soon, man. Take care. Bye.